Mayor, it's 6:30. May I begin?
Yes, please.
Mayor, I have a few preliminary matters. This is Zoe Burgess, your city clerk. The meeting of the City of Westlake City Council is being held with a quorum of City Council physically in attendance at the Westlake Council Chambers, 4005 Seminole Pratt Whitney Road. Councilwoman Katrina Long Robinson, Councilwoman Kara Crump, Councilman Patrick Paul, Vice Mayor John Paul O'Connor, and Mayor Roger Manning are present physically in chambers. City Manager Kenneth Castle, Interim City Attorney Donald Duty, Planning and Zoning Director Nilsa Zacharias, and Engineering Director Suzanne Dombrowski are present and physically in attendance. City Clerk Zoe Burgess is present via Communications Media Technology at City Hall, 4001 Seminole Pratt Whitney Road. Public comments may be accepted prior to the meeting utilizing the electronic comment card available on the city's website. Public comments are also permitted at the appropriate time during the meeting. The mayor will call for such during public comment, and you may participate at this time utilizing the system's virtual hand feature and waiting to be acknowledged if you wish to comment. Please note this meeting is being recorded, both voice and video, and to remember your mic may be live. I will mute any microphones that carry any feedback or interruptions. If you are a caller that has been muted, you may unmute yourself by pressing *6. Any person in the virtual meeting causing a disruption or being inappropriate will be removed from the virtual meeting. If I may also remind those physically in attendance, please utilize microphones so that the virtual audience and a clear recording of the meeting is produced. Thank you, Mayor Manning.
Thank you. I call to order the City of Westlake City Council regular meeting, Monday, June 14th, 2021 at 6:32 p.m. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Katrina Long Robinson.
Present.
Councilwoman Kara Crump.
Here.
Councilman Patrick Paul.
Here.
Vice Mayor John Paul O'Connor.
Present.
Mayor Roger Manning.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Please stand and pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes, the council, do we have any additions, deletions, or modifications to this evening's agenda? Show none. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Second.
Motion made to approve the agenda by Councilwoman Crump, seconded by Vice Mayor O'Connor. Roll call. Councilwoman Long Robinson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Crump.
Yes.
Councilman Paul.
Yes.
Vice Mayor O'Connor.
Yes.
Mayor Manning.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
This is our public comments and requests on non-agenda items. Section of the agenda allows for comments from the public to speak on any item not presented on the agenda this evening. Each speaker will be given a total of 3 minutes to comment. A public comment card should be completed and returned to the city clerk. When you are called to speak, please go to the podium and prior to addressing the council, state your name and address for the record. Do we have any public comment?
Mayor, I received no previous comment cards. However, I do see a virtual hand by Alicia Torres. Ms. Torres, please state your name and address.
Hi, thank you. Alicia Torres, 5847 Whippoorwill Circle.
Thank you.
I have 3 questions. These are all SID questions, water related. The first question I had was, I know many moons ago there was talk of setting up an emergency phone number for SID for, I guess, water issues. And I just wondered, if that is still going forward. The second question I had is that I know when a lot of residents try to call SID during regular working hours, it's a voicemail only, you know, phone service essentially. And it just seems like some residents get callbacks and sometimes residents don't get any callbacks. So I'm just wondering, you know, how are we supposed to be communicating effectively with SID about kind of immediate issues? The third question I had is that it seems like water varies drastically from house to house. And I just wondered if you guys could address that. You know, I'm not sure if it's construction related or what's going on, but I know there's, you know, locally speaking, there's the hot water heater maintenance. I know that sometimes fire hydrants can be flushed, but I just wondered, generally speaking, why when we all get water from the same supply, does the quality vary so greatly? Thank you.
Would you like to address that, Mr. Castle?
Yes, I'll address it from two perspectives. First, since SID and the city are two different governmental entities, this isn't really the platform to address it. However, because I actually happen to wear two hats, I will respond on behalf of SID. First off, there is an info at seminoleimprovement.district.com that people can contact, which we get very few inquiries from. The phone system is set up that if the person that the phone goes to is busy, it goes to their voicemail. We have a lot of people that call from time to time. They don't leave a voicemail or anything. So we do not have a policy to call back every number because, as all of you experience as well, you get all kinds of, you know, your car warranty is about to be voided. We even get them through SID. So therefore, if you're going to call SID, be sure to leave a voicemail and you will be called back within 24 hours. As far as an emergency number is, the emergency number is part of the phone tree in the system. So when you call, if I remember correctly, sheet here, first one is you dial for utility department, and then for an emergency, you go to the second level. When you hit that, it says for billing and customer service, dial 1, for emergency water sewer issues, dial 2. All the issues that we have experienced out here so far as a water emergency have been on the customer side of the meter. They have been blown pipes, et cetera, et cetera. So those, yes, we will, as SID, assist in shutting the water off or checking out if you've got a backup on your sewer. We will check the cleanout to advise you whether it's on the SID side or on the customer side. So on the customer side, it's customer's responsibility to take care of it. With regard to, which I think the last question was water quality. Water quality. The water is sampled on a daily basis for residual levels, and it's sampled on quarterly basis for back tea, what they call back teas. Is sampled and sent to professional lab. We are within the parameters of the water that we get from Palm Beach County. The issues that we've found so far on people complaining about water, smell, et cetera, part of it is they need to flush the inside of their house more than what they started with. I have some residents that are complaining. I have a lot of residents that are not. So therefore, everything that we've tested at the entry point to the house, which is beyond our meter, technically we're responsible to the meter. We've checked at the entry points of the house. Everything has been within the parameters of the water that SID is to provide. So any issue beyond that is internal to the house. It needs to be checked out between the homeowner and in conjunction with customer service of the developers. And that's all I have right now.
So if someone is having a specific water issue in their home, they can call SID, so SID will come out and test it at the entry point, not like their actual faucet.
Correct. We do not go in the house. It is not our responsibility. Technically, our responsibility stops at the backside of the meter. But since there's no test point at that point, we'll test at the spigot, because usually where the water goes into the house, goes in, there's a shutoff valve, and there's usually a spigot right there. We will check it at that location.
And thus far, of all the ones you've tested, you haven't had
haven't had any issues.
Tree home.
Correct.
It's good to hear.
I still don't think that it's acceptable, and I've brought this up a number of times. People calling, whether it's to sit to the city, and I'm trusting the city manager as well as the city manager at this point. It is not acceptable that people just not getting through to anybody. I mean, you know, you're talking about hundreds of gallons of water being lost if there's a pipe being broken. There has to be a way for somebody to get through to a person on the phone. 24 hours is a long time for water to run, and people have to pay that out of pocket.
You're not understanding. If it's an emergency, there's a phone tree that goes to the 3 people in the field, plus Mr. Yohe, plus Mr. Massey. Now, I've been in the office on multiple occasions where Mr. Yohe and Mr. Massey's phone have gone off incessantly by 1 or 2 people that continue to call back. When you finally answer the phone, you ask them about how to open an account. It's not an emergency. They push emergency because they think they will get somebody faster. And it is not a bona fide emergency. One of the things that Seminole Improvement District will be doing in its transition to Manal is they will be, within the next 10 days, instituting an on-call service in the afternoons, all night. In other words, when you go to the SID phone number, it will end up in a live person on an answering service who will take a message, who will email that message to the appropriate individuals within SID to respond in time. If it is a bona fide emergency, the appropriate person will be contacted and they will respond.
Why did it not inform the public about this water shortage in the used water?
On a reuse, that was something that happened on an emergency basis, and SID was scrambling to fix it.
How hard is it put it on the website? I looked at the website, there was no information.
Well, when you're running lean staff and you're running to get the thing fixed first, that's the priority, is to get it fixed. But yes, we will look at, SID will look at a improved way of communicating on their website.
Would it be appropriate, we have the emergency alert set up, would it be appropriate to do a push out of text message to everyone that's involved here?
We could coordinate with Zoe to put it out.
And then, that's not SID, but that's the city, but couldn't we
Yeah.
do it?
Yeah, I think we can work with the city and push it out on that.
We had an app that could be a push notification.
We're looking at it, David, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Okay, that concludes that.
Oh, I'm sorry, there's one other, I just remembered the last question that you had asked, the variances between people's bills and stuff. It's all based upon consumption. There's a flat rate, there's a base rate, and then the rest of it is based upon consumption. Depending on how many people, how many showers, et cetera, how many times you're using your dishwasher, et cetera, impacts your domestic water. If you have your irrigation system on, we've had a number of occasions where individuals thought they were resetting their system to come only once every so many minutes or so many days, et cetera, and actually they had set it to where it would run 4 cycles in that time frame versus 1 cycle. So you have to be very careful when you're working on or resetting your time clocks on your irrigation systems to make sure that you have set it to the appropriate problem. And also, as we finish the migration in Manal, you'll be able to go on and look at your consumption and see where you're at.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda. We have A and B this evening, approval of the minutes of our April 26th and May 10th, April 26th City Council Workshop meeting, our May 10th regular City Council meeting minutes, and approval of the financial report on April 2021. Reason not to, could we have a motion for approval of the consent agenda?
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion by Vice Mayor O'Connor to approve the consent agenda, seconded by Councilwoman Crump. Roll call. Councilwoman Crump,
Yes.
Councilman Paul,
Yes.
Vice Mayor O'Connor,
Yes.
Mayor Manning,
Yes.
Councilwoman Long Robinson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to presentations. We do have a presentation this evening, and actually a presentation, and we have a proclamation that was presented by Councilwoman Long Robinson, proclamation to the LGBTQ community. Do we have some representatives from the LGBTQ community here? If not, I'm just going to read the presentation. And this is the proclamation, the City of Westlake, Florida. Whereas the City of Westlake respects the value and dignity of each person, appreciates the importance of equality and freedom, and whereas every family deserves a place to call home where they are safe, happy, and supported by friends and neighbors, and whereas Westlake denounces prejudice and unfair discrimination based on age, gender identity, gender expression, race, color, religion, marital status, national origin, sexual orientation, or physical attributes. And whereas Westlake appreciates the cultural, civic contribution of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, plus LGBTQ plus community, which strengthens our social welfare. And whereas it is important that people in our community, regardless of sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression, feel valued, safe, empowered, and supported by their peers and community and leaders. Now, therefore, I, Roger Manning, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the City of Westlake, Florida, do hereby proclaim June 2021 as LGBTQ plus Pride Month.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're here.
Absolutely.
Okay, we have a presentation from Universal Health Services, an update by Chief Executive Officer Pam Kahan. You would please.
Can I have mine too?
Yes? Good evening, Pam. It's good to see you.
Thank you. It's so good to see everyone back in person.
Yes.
It's been so long. I'm Pam Sahan. I'm the CEO at Wellington Regional Medical Center. I've been with Universal Health Services for 6 years. In that 6 years, I will say from day one, we talked about Westlake. So this was one of the very first projects that I got to work on. Super excited to be with you here today. I do want to introduce my team that's here with me today as well. I have Luz Jordan. She is a nurse and she is the manager of our freestanding emergency department here in Westlake. So she runs the entire operation. And then I also have John Mark Ashley. He's the chief operating officer of the hospital and he's over construction projects. So he'll be seeing future construction projects on the site. So that'll be nice.
Yes.
To have them today. Two. How do I advance? How do I advance this? Okay, thanks. Okay, so this is our team. As you know, I just introduced Luz Jordan to you. We also have Adam Bromberg, who's our medical director. He's the medical director of our emergency department here in Westlake. Just so that you know, at all times, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, we always have a board certified emergency medicine physician on site at the facility. And you have a photo up there of the staff at Westlake. We currently employ 30 individuals here in the community. Okay, again, this is what the facility currently looks like and a photo of our team. We wanted to show you some additional photos. So this is inside. If you've not been inside, it is a state-of-the-art, awesome facility. So what we have is we have 8 exam rooms. We have 3 medical bays. You see right here. And this is what a typical exam room looks like. It's a state-of-the-art emergency medicine room. Additional bays, and we do have 1 triage area for patients. This is our CT scanner, so we offer a large array of CT services, including angiograms at the facility. We have X-ray, we have the CT, we have ultrasound, and we also have laboratory services at the facility. The laboratory services at the facility and the X-ray facility is also open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you go to your physician and you get an order, for example, to get blood work, you can go 24 hours a day and walk into that facility and register and get outpatient blood work. You don't have to, go to another medical facility. We do offer all of those services there, including X-ray or CT. So again, if your physician writes you a script for one of those services, you can go after work, before work. We're always there, and we're always accepting outpatient business. I don't think we really advertise that as much, but it is a service that is good, particularly for residents who don't want to go too far. And the laboratory services, did want to add, we opened April 11th, 2019, and I had originally asked to present at our 1-year anniversary, the April 11th, 2020. We all know what happened, but we were open all through COVID. I will tell you, other freestanding emergency departments in Palm Beach County were not always open. We did not close our doors. We did not for a moment. And we also started offering COVID testing. So if anyone was going to be admitted to the facility, to the hospital, or if they were in need of the COVID test, we did have machines out there prior to COVID starting that once it was available, we were able to bring the cartridges in. Many hospitals didn't even have that ability, but this facility here did have that ability. We did the Cepheid? Yes, so Cepheid is one of the brands. It's a PCR test, and we were able to offer it just about almost immediately as soon as it was available to us. So here is just some information, just so that you know, since we've opened, the facility has gotten a number of awards. It's really our shining star. They got what they call the Press-Gini Guardian of Excellence Award. And this is something that's only given to facilities that have the highest level of customer satisfaction. You have to be over the 95th percentile nationwide with Press-Gini, and this facility does have that. If you've ever been there, the staff are phenomenal, and it's really excellent care that you're receiving there. We did, of course, as a department of the hospital, as an emergency department, we are accredited by the Joint Commission, but we decided to go a step further, and we got an additional certification as a chest pain center. So that just means that we go above and beyond, and again, got accredited for that. You'll find many hospitals are not necessarily accredited as chest pain centers, but this facility here has its own accreditation. In fact, I think next week they have another certification coming out for the laboratory. We have our College of American Pathology is coming out, and again, that is a separate organization that comes out to accredit the laboratory services there. And then, of course, we did get leapfrog safety grade of A, and we're one of only 2 hospitals of the 15 in Palm Beach County that did receive that award. So patient safety is our #1 priority at all times, and that's what you'll see inside our facility. This might be difficult to see, but this just gives you the activity of what's been happening at the ER. So, obviously we started to grow, and then that dipped down when COVID hit. So it's been, a year. That's okay. But we are continuing to see more and more patients there. I'd say on average for the last 3 months, we've seen 16 patients a day. which for us, we're very happy with. And we want to continue to see it grow, and we see no reason why it won't continue in that direction. Yeah. I'm gonna let Luz tell you about some of the things that we've done in the community over the last 2 years. And then we'll talk a little bit about the future.
So since we've opened, we've done numerous community outreach events representing Westlake, ER at Westlake. We've done food trucks. This is pre-COVID, some of this. So when the people came out to the food truck, it was free. We also offered tours inside the facility because it's kind of deceiving from the outside what the inside really looks like. A lot of people come in and they're amazed at how big it actually is. So we gave them a tour to all the different departments so they can see the services that we provide. We also provided blood pressure screenings and handed out information outside of Publix off of Orange. And we would like to recontinue that. We were doing that every Sunday during the months. So we do that. We participated in a couple of holiday hops within the community. We participated in a Christmas holiday hop. It was kind of like a drive-through event where people within the community like downloaded. It was like a treasure hunt kind of map. And we handed out things. They can also come inside the facility and take a tour at the same time. So we participated in a Christmas one, and the one that you see here, the latest one, was the Easter holiday hop. So we passed out little goodies to the kids and also to the adults. We did 2 COVID vaccine clinics. So we provided COVID vaccines, the first and the second dose, to the community. They can come out, and we did that. We participated in one of the Westlake community events where we set up a first aid tent. So we were there. We participated in a Waxahachie Groves Elementary, their spring May carnival that happens. We have a little first aid tent that we have out there also.
Just a plug, on July 1st, we're coming back out and we're doing a cooking demonstration. So we will teach some healthy cooking classes out there, and that will start in a couple weeks. That's July 1st. We obviously plan to continue and move on. We wish COVID didn't happen and we could have progressed a little faster, but we do plan on building out. We do believe the next thing is really getting some physicians or some more medical care out here into this area. And we would love feedback from others on what you would like to see as far as medical services and what our priorities should be. We don't want to really work in a bubble. We want to bring to you, you are the community, we want to bring to you what it is that you want to see from us. So we do plan on continuing to grow and to expand, and we're working with our real estate team right now on medical office space. But as I said, we're just happy to be here and then to be part of the team here and answer any questions you might have for us.
Thank you, Pam, for your presentation. Do we have any questions?
I do.
Please.
Thank you so much for attending tonight. I do have a few questions for you. And thank you for that presentation. I know we've been trying to get you guys back out here for some time now. You mentioned, well, let me ask this first. So as far as the Westlake freestanding emergency department, as far as communication and marketing goes, how do you plan on doing that?
Yes, so we do a number of ways to market out. We have a contract with Pandora Radio, so we are on the radio stations. We reach out through these community events. We try to get involved in the school system as much as possible. I know we sponsor the high school. We have the board at the high school. So when community events come to us, please bring them to us because we want to be even more involved. I will say we were looking at a walking campaign, but we weren't so sure with the whole COVID thing. But we were going to go door to door with a walking campaign as well to let people know.
Okay. And you did mention COVID testing and vaccinations. How did you get that information out to our community?
We worked with John Carter, and we sent out to all of the residents in Westlake, an email that said, that you can come in and sign up. And we had a specific day, was it April? We had a specific day, that we did offer the vaccines for free to the community. And all you had to do was sign up. I'm sure some came same day.
Yeah, some walk-ins, they heard family members told them and they walked in.
Okay. Now, and I'm not sure if you're here to talk about development, no? Can you speak on development? Okay, so, we understand you're supposed to be starting in 2022, correct?
For the medical office building?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd like to start as soon as possible. The way that it works is, we work with our corporate real estate team. And so we really need to sell the product as we develop it, just with all of your other developments.
And I guess I asked that question because you have a timeline. What is your timeline for the one in Palm Beach Gardens? Because you purchased here prior to Palm Beach Gardens, so what is that timeline?
They're two different projects. So that one is a hospital that's going through site approval. This one is medical office building space. And then we're talking about other ambulatory services here first.
Who is our primary contact for your services?
I would say Luz is the primary contact for Westlake.
Okay. This is just my suggestion and just me alone. I would love to see more communication between the city as well as the provider. I think with us going through a global pandemic, this is my first time hearing that you provided vaccines as well as COVID testing. And I know that there have been several emails and there's been a lack of communication. So I would love for better communication.
We would love to.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so our residents know as well now, and maybe some of them did. I know we worked with the county to get vaccine testing. And I do know there were 50 vaccines to get COVID testing, sorry, and I know there were like 50 vaccines provided. However, we have more than 50 constituents who are in that age bracket. So I would hope to move forward with better communication. I'd also like something a little more concrete, especially since something was purchased in Palm Beach Gardens. I would hate for there to be, for them to have development a little sooner than us. I understand what you're saying, but if we could get something a little more concrete moving forward, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, different projects. I would love to get contact information on how to contact and communicate with each of you. We still do, obviously, the COVID testing there, but we would love to get regular communication. In fact, like I send regular communication to the staff at the hospital. I'm happy to send out regular communication to the residents here on stuff.
Sure.
And updates.
Pam, if you would make sure you copy the city clerk and myself on all your communications, we'll make sure that it gets out to the city council.
Okay.
And we'll get it on our city Facebook page as well for any events you're going to be having. So if you can just give it to myself and City and Zoe, we will make sure it gets out there.
Okay.
I don't know if Alicia Torres is interested in being on that list of recipient for communication. She's kind of like the in-house communicator for the city of Westlake.
Okay.
And she's very good at bringing news out to.
Yeah, because when we sponsor like a food truck, we want more people to come. Like we do it to get people to come out and see us and be part of this community. We don't mind if people come out from around the community. Like we're here to bring attention. So.
Are you guys able to directly admit patients to the hospital? So if they came in with a critical emergency, you guys can arrange that room.
Yes.
They go straight to their room. They don't have to go for, okay.
Yes, we arrange them to go straight.
Right. We set up the transfer and stuff like that. We will transfer them to Wellington. We can also transfer them, to a facility of their choice, but we set everything up and then they go straight there.
I do have one more question. You said people can walk in if they need an MRI or whatever.
Well, CT. Not MRI.
CAT.
Yeah.
The cost, how's the cost in comparison to other facilities that do that and that only? typically emergency facilities tend to be a little more.
Yeah,
expensive.
absolutely. So, the cost is generally higher at a service like that, for laboratory services, CT services and whatnot. Completely depends on your insurance plan. Some people, it would not be. Some people have already met their deductible, and if you've already met your deductible, then, but it completely depends on your medical insurance. If you're paying a cash pay rate, we do have that too.
That actually touches on exactly what I was gonna ask, in terms of some of that routine blood work and stuff that you guys said you offer, but you don't really advertise.
Yeah.
You'd still say that's a little bit more than like walking into LabQuest? Probably.
Yeah, so
I mean, sometimes the convenience.
laboratory very much
right
is
here is worth it,
insurance
but-
based, so many of the times they will tell you you have to go to a Quest if you have particular insurances or one of those companies, so.
LabCorp, I'm sorry, I meant that.
All of
Or
those,
whatever.
so laboratory could be a little bit more difficult, you have to check with your provider, with your physician that is the one who wrote the prescription, and then with your insurance company.
So, could you leave me a card, both of your cards
Yeah.
also? And Erica, who's one of your staff members, is an absolute rock star, for the record.
I will tell you, they were all rock stars because it was like coveted jobs to get out here. So the staff that works out here, there's a reason why they
Yeah, I
have
think you
very
guys
high
do a great
customer
job, you really
satisfaction.
do.
And
Thank you for
Luz
being
does an excellent job running the operation.
awesome. Yeah, if you just leave me some cards, that'd be great.
Okay. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Appreciate it.
That brings us to our next item, Back and Beyond campaign, the S.A. Nelson presentation.
Hello, good evening,
Good evening.
Mayor, Council, City Manager. I'm Sophia Nelson, S.A. Nelson Associates. I have with me today Rizma Adams and Dante Filia. One thing I want to say, I don't want to say slow down, but you guys are growing so fast. I mean, our video is old already.
Let me tell you, we're not slowing.
I know you're not, but I'm telling you, our video is old already. The beyond is beyond. So I'm gonna give it to Shrizman. She's gonna kind of take it away, and then I'll be here to answer questions accordingly.
Thank you so much. Last time we were here, we came and gave you two theme concepts for the video for the story of Westlake. You selected Before and Beyond as your selection. Well, let's roll up to the next slide. We just want to kind of refresh your memory. It's been a couple months of what that thing, oh, there we go. Perfect. All right, perfect. Thank you so much. We just want to refresh your memory of that thing. And what we were going to do is use a lot of the historical rich history of the Seminole Improvement District, integrate that into the video to tell the story of just what Westlake was before it became the city, what it is today, and then what you all have planned for the future, so that when the residents are considering this area, whether it's to live, work, play, they know the rich history behind this city. So that's what we selected. We went ahead and crafted the video. Some of you participated in it. This is going to be your debut tonight. And so we're bringing it tonight for you as a council to look at it, to give us your feedback, if you would like something changed, or approve it, and then we'll move to the next step of publishing the video. So now we can play the video.
Just a moment, I'll pull the video up.
Sure.
And while she does that, the Palm Beach Post did an article about a month ago or so, about the cities and how they came up with their name. And so this is very apropos.
Westlake was listed.
And so this will be we will be sending this information to the Palm Beach Post so they can update.
They can get the right story.
I would really like to tell you that there was some grand concept that flowed from our minds and imagination that led to the word Westlake and the name Westlake. But that's not the case. What I can probably best tell you in the way of our process that led to us with the notion of coming up with the name Westlake was ingrained with the process of what we do anyway. And so what do I mean by that? You know, we always try to look at the past to inform us about how we should be dealing with the present.
Days it was owned by Cowrie Judge Grove. Jim Cowrie was one of the principals. He was the managing partner for years, and he saw the vision of the Grove here, and he bought the property, and with a group of investors. So all those years it ran, and so you fast forward to, I think it was in 13, I think is when Minto came in and they bought the property. We've really been a development from the inception of the property. It was developed, but we just happened to have it for citrus. And now we're converting it to its highest and best use. Unfortunately, we had a series of diseases and things affect our grove that started back really hitting us in the 90s. We went from a glut of fruit, then we had the more significant ones that came in was what everyone knows about is canker, citrus canker, and they didn't know how to handle it, so we lost hundreds and hundreds of acres that they had to burn, cut out and burn, because that was the protocol of the day. And at a time when pricing wasn't great, and then we came right behind that, we lost a lot of acres, and then we had the Asian greening disease that came through, they call it greening. And when it got to our property, it ran across it like wildfire. And the problem with that, and people say, well, why don't you just replant? It wasn't feasible because there's so many people living around our outside area that, and they all have citrus trees and they all have it. There's so much inoculum in the entire area that it just didn't make sense to replant citrus. And so we're a relatively rocky piece of soil. Farming, we have areas that we're farming that work really well, but they're a big chunk of it. It wouldn't be one great big row crop farm. So development becomes the highest and best use of the real estate.
With that, we, early on when we began to come up with the master plan, the physical form of Westlake, we embarked on this journey, this study of these other projects. And clearly you can't do that undertaking without understanding where you're currently situated. So clearly we're situated between North Lake Boulevard to the north, Southern Boulevard to the south. And so, right away you begin to get this feel of the cardinal directions that are named and ingrained with some of the major highways that are around us, for example. And so that was just, a fact that just kind of resonated with us in the back of our mind, and we were cognizant of that. We also knew in some capacity that there would be a significant amount of water features, which is part and parcel with any modern development you would do today, that you have to accommodate a significant amount of water, right? So we knew there was going to be this blue water element with the community, and a significant amount of it, in fact. And then we also looked from a community planning perspective to some really tried and true, well-proven type of communities. For example, Weston, right? And so, which was in Broward County, on the western edge of Broward County. And oddly enough, if you drew a line straight due north from Weston, we're at that same path due north of Weston. And so we studied West End as well as, you know, a bunch of Arvida communities, as well as some more contemporary communities. And so when we began to sit down and reflect on that body of knowledge, the cardinal directions, North Lake, Southern, Weston, Lake, Westlake, it just flowed.
The original vision that was set up, Westlake with the vision of Minto, and as we were incorporating and working on all the background, was to create a community that would be in what I would term as the sweet spot. When you go out looking for a home anywhere in Palm Beach County, we're in the average price range for a brand new home. Other places you find the same price range, but you have a home that may be 5, 10, 15, 20 years old that you have to go in and renovate or update. So therefore we become a better value for a brand new home. Secondly, with the amenity center that's here, put on by the HOA and the master HOA, the quality of life style is much better. We have a community that you can circulate in, that people can talk to each other, that has the amenities right here. As far as business, again, quick process on the plats, permitting, and tax rate is in the middle of all the county, municipalities in the county.
Well, most of the things that we are doing are still things that are done in most all the cities. The thing that really makes us unique is that most cities have their own building department, their own planning and zoning departments. They have their own city maintenance departments, and all these things that are done by the cities. They have to have their own HR people, and they have their own insurance and all the other things that you have to run a business. One of the great things about this city is we only have the contractor that we hired here to deal with. If we need to make adjustments to our everyday maintenance schedules, or we need to, the business slows down, we don't need to build as much, so we don't need as many building department officials, we don't need as many inspections, and all these things reduce the cost of government. And I think that we've kind of put ourselves out there, and not like kind of, we have put ourselves out there as being innovative, and I believe that other cities can take this as an idea that they may want to incorporate.
I live in Westlake, so, you know, it's easy for a big nameless, faceless company to come in and, you know, execute a business plan. I think at a very senior level in my organization, including me, you know, we're invested, and it means a lot to us, and we care a lot about it. And in the future, I hope that level of care and attention and passion that we all are in the midst of doing and delivering today is evident and is recognized and maybe in some level appreciated because we're here and we're part of the community, and I can't imagine having done anything different.
Oh, 20 years from now in Westlake, what do I see? I see a thriving community with a mixed demographics, which we already have, along with sufficient commercial to support not only Westlake but the surrounding communities, which will provide a vibrant center in the western part of Palm Beach County.
I believe it's very important for the city to have a home that's worthy of a city that's coming up and into the future, being that it is a very innovative city. We are actually looking to
make the city hall a centerpiece for our community. There are a number of things that we've done that I think have never been done before and has really been innovative, that really affects affordability and people's ability to come to Westlake. And I think that's been key to our success today. And I would really like to think that that would be the legacy that we're all remembered by.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor and audience, I will attest that the video and the language sync is much better as a direct view than it became through tonight at all. But it does match up very well and very, very, very fluid when you look at it directly.
Thank you. Okay, so. Now, okay.
I thought you were gonna make me look younger in that.
I didn't want to touch it. We're gonna. You look amazing. Okay.
My friend back there that ran the camera, he's the one that said that he was gonna make me look younger.
So we do have one edit, we need,
Okay.
okay. Zoe? Okay. Okay, there we go. Okay, so there we go. So here are next steps. If you are okay with the video as is, as shown this evening, we'll receive your go-ahead approval tonight. Then we would move to go live on the website and on social media, as we previously discussed, by June 23rd. And then go live in providing this information, the link to the newsletter, go ahead and getting the approval to send out direct mail postcards, as well as integrating it into your current SMS messaging system for people who have opted in to receive SMS communications from the city. So that's the next 3 steps in the timeline. And just to kind of refresh what those deliverables, I don't think it's sorry. No, there's just something up there.
My question at this point is, Mr. Carter and also Mr. Massey and Mr. Castle, in order to move forward, I would assume we need their approval also.
Right.
So we don't have Mr. Carter here this evening,
So-
or Mr. Massey.
I'm sorry, man, but we sent, I'm not sure if that was the approval on the email that we sent in when we sent the original video in. Or
Yes.
I saw Mr. Carter's comment on
Yes.
it. Is that was his approval? Okay.
Yeah, we'll make sure that any other release for the images is taken care of.
Okay, perfect.
I'm sure all three are okay with it.
I think everybody. So we need a motion to move forward with this, I assume?
I know we've had discussion, as it relates to effective communication. And, Vice Mayor, you made a comment about updating social media, QR codes, things of that nature. Staff, I would love to see if, even with our communication as far as Westlake Regional is happening, I don't know if there could be some type of partnership where if we're gonna put something like this out and if we're working with this particular group and as it relates to communication, PR, if there's something more, I know staff, that would be something that you have to look at, but we do know communication is an issue, right? And we do know that we want to update our technology, and if we're gonna be innovative, then we need to live up to that. So I would love to have maybe communications happen. I don't know if that's a workshop, I don't know how that looks, but I would love to see that happen. And so clearly the product is good, right? Ken has said that the words will match. They catch up. But I would love to see something more as far in helping with our communication as it relates to things of that nature.
Your feedback on that, Mr. Castle?
Yeah, well, what I've already mentioned it to Dante and Sophia, and she kind of commented on it, that we're growing fast. So we're ready, we've done the introduction, we're ready for chapter 1 and chapter 2. Because this is going to be a continuing story of how things are changing, what's available. Some things that are coming out now, ISTF coming back, some commercial that are coming into play. I think it's even bigger for the city to highlight what we're doing, what's available, what's out here, what so we have. In fact, the August 9th meeting for your site plan on phase 2, so they'll start construction on the phase 2 of that very quickly. The fitness trail is coming in July for final approval on that, so we'll continue to move forward with these things, but I think all of those being highlighted now is the next step with S.A. Nelson and them to continue to push this out on the next step and the next step, and then reach out in more ways than we have before.
Very good. So your suggestion would be to have a workshop
To see,
or do we have
I know you're the
we
technical
have a,
person, so we can hear, where we want to go with communication.
I love the video. I think it was great. And I think I agree with you entirely that we're probably far ahead of where this video shows that we are now. Just because I'm a numbers guy and I know we budgeted for it, I'd like to make sure we budget for it in the future, and I'd like to see what those numbers are, see what we're paying for this. You can send me that back end or whatever. But I mean, as long as it's reasonable, I think this is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So I think it's great. But we're gonna need updates, because we've already got a lot more going on. So, yeah.
I just like the QR code thing. I want to think of something with the QR code.
I don't know if you remember, Councilwoman Katrina Long Robinson, that it will be included on the postcards.
Perfect.
So we're gonna,
Perfect.
I don't know, that's what I said, we showed some of the delivery channels, but if you wanted just to be reminded, we are going to go ahead and, this is the video, we'll integrate it into the website.
QR codes are pretty easy.
And we'll have
Just a link to a website.
I think it's just, I think just thinking forward and having things accessible, it would be perfect.
Definitely.
Great presentation.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks. I mean, I like the video. If we need a motion to approve it,
And they have turkey. The only issue with the turkey.
I'll make the motion to move forward with the video.
I'll second.
As long as we have those releases that we needed and we're not gonna land ourselves in the water.
I'm sorry, Council. Who made the motion?
I did. Vice Mayor O'Connor.
I'm sorry.
Vice Mayor O'Connor.
Thank you. Motion made by Vice Mayor O'Connor, seconded by Councilwoman Long Robinson to approve the video presented by S.A. Nelson, Back and Beyond campaign. Roll call, Councilman Paul.
Yes.
Vice Mayor O'Connor.
Yes.
Mayor Manning.
Yes.
Councilwoman Long Robinson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Crump.
Yeah.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentations. Sophia, thank you. Okay, we're gonna open up the public hearing. Our first item is an ordinance to be known as the noise ordinance, chapter 23 nuisances, code of ordinances. Noise, if you could read by title, please.
Yes, Mayor, we have the first reading of ordinance 2021-01, an ordinance of the City Council for the City of Westlake, Florida, to include a section to be known as the nuisance ordinance, providing for definitions, providing for noise restrictions, providing for exemptions, providing for enforcement, providing for repeal of conflicting laws, providing for severability of invalid provisions, providing an effective date.
Thank you. Do we have any type of presentation on this from Land Zone?
Just briefly on it, basically, we took the noise ordinance that we had presented before went back, looked at the DB ratings and some other things to make sure that we had the original intent for the amenity center, being able to operate in hours and stuff that they would be able, as originally envisioned, on noise levels and hours of operation and stuff. And wrapped that all in together and came back with a revised edition for you.
I know that, Vice Mayor, you had a lot of questions on this.
Yeah, well, the original noise ordinance as presented was, it was just a non-starter, and I made that motion to originally table that. It would make the adventure park not be able to exist. It would make the amphitheater never able to have a concert or a movie, and it just wasn't reasonable. I think it would probably copy another 20th century village or something. But, I made a ton of notes and they were definitely well received. And I like it as it sits.
Yes.
So this is just first reading. If we needed to tweak anything, we can. But I would recommend, I like it as it is.
Nelson, you have any additions to this?
I just would like to add to it that we have worked, as you recall, at the time it was presented for first reading. Catherine stood on the microphone. She had a number of comments. Staff has been working very close with her and her staff. So at this point, this has been fully coordinated.
I'm not clear on the noise level. Decibel level went up to what, 90, 92 decibel or something like that?
Correct, it's right in that ballpark. But it's different in terms of residential versus mixed commercial use, obviously.
How far?
I'll let them explain it.
How far from the park was that being measured? Or is that acceptable?
Why don't you
I'm sorry,
go ahead
could you-
and do your presentation, and then we'll ask the questions out there.
Oh, no, I was not gonna give a presentation. I was just gonna say that, Catherine Rossmell on behalf of Minto with Ms. Loveland and Walker, Milton just mentioned that they were excellent in coordinating with us and addressing the concerns we raised last meeting. And so, as always, just wanted to say thank you for your excellent staff for working with us when we have concerns.
Thank you. Councilman.
So the decibel level, how far from the venue is it being measured? Is it being applicable?
Well, that's not the way the decibels work. Decibels are measured from where the sound is created. So, for the record, your washer machine at your home is over 60 dBs as it's running.
Okay, so it's.
When there's a complaint, from my understanding, when there's a complaint, it would get measured from the complainant's location in a residential setting. So if somebody's mad that somebody's having a birthday party across the lake, that noise doesn't get measured at the birthday party, it gets measured from the complainant's home.
So
I could be wrong on that, but I believe that's the way it works.
Do we know if we generate 92 decibels for 30 seconds, I believe it was? If you sit at Sky Cove, for example, how much is that noise level reduced to what decibel level?
It's actually in section 17, subsection B. If a potential noise violation be investigated as a result of complaint, the sound is measured shall be taken 50 feet from the property about which the complaint is made. In other words, it would be taken 50 feet from this property. If it exceeds the 90 dB at 50 feet from the property, then there's an issue. If it doesn't exceed 90 dB or whatever the dB level.
50 feet from the complainant's property.
From the property upon which the complaint has been made.
Right, so from the complainer's property.
Yes.
Okay, so
if you complain about noise, and they come out, and it gets measured within 50 feet of that, then there's a problem if it exceeds our ordinance.
okay, what is then the acceptable noise level at that 50 feet from, it can't be 92 decibels. so that would be very high.
Something less than the maximum is acceptable. If it's not exceeding the maximum that's allowed, then it would be acceptable.
So 92 decibels is pretty loud. So I'm having a bit of concern here that, especially, you know, in the Sky Cove area and whatnot, which kind of faces things.
Well,
I mean,
I'm sorry, repeat that.
Sky Cove is pretty much facing the minis, and I know a large part of it. So
Correct, and there, if you recall, there was an original, you weren't on the board at the time, there was a sound study that was performed by Mento. In that, as we were going forward and putting the residential across there was a complete sound study. These decibel levels, if I recall correctly, are within what that original sound study was. That sound study was made part of the purchase and sale agreement with Sky Cove and others. I believe it's all been part of the record. It has been there from the beginning, when the original amenity center was put in place, and that's the reason why it was set up the way it was.
Well, I'm gonna have to look at those numbers again. I just 92 is pretty high.
Okay, do we have any other questions regarding this item? This is a first reading. Do we have a motion?
We already read it by time?
Read by title.
Okay. I'll make a motion.
You have to read by title?
Oh, yes.
Zoe?
No, yeah, she did already.
You already did?
She already read it. She did
Make
that
a
first.
motion to adopt ordinance 2021-01.
I'll second.
We have a motion to adopt ordinance 2021-01 on first reading. Roll call. Vice Mayor O'Connor,
Yes.
Mayor Manning,
Yes.
Councilwoman Long Robinson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Crump,
Yes.
Councilman Paul.
No.
Motion carries 4-1. Thank you.
When will second reading be on this? Is it okay?
It's in the ordinance already. July 12th.
Okay, moving on. First reading, ordinance amending ordinance 2017-7 to authorize a residential solid waste services special assessment. This was submitted by the city attorney, and would, Zoe, would you read by title, please?
First reading for ordinance 2021-02. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Westlake, Florida, to amend ordinance 2017-7 solid waste collection to authorize and provide for the levy and collection of a residential solid waste services special assessment related to those services within City of Westlake, amending definitions in ordinance 2017-7 and providing for additional definitions and findings relating to the special assessment, creating a new section 10A to ordinance 2017-7 entitled Residential Solid Waste Services Special Assessment, and subsections 10A1 through 10A19, authorizing the imposition and collection of a residential solid waste services special assessment, establishing procedures for notice and adoption of the residential solid waste services special assessment role, and for correcting errors and omissions, providing that residential solid waste services special assessments constitute a lien on assessed property upon adoption of the residential solid waste services special assessment role, establishing procedures and methods for the collection of a residential solid waste services special assessments, establishing the priority of the lien over priority recorded liens or mortgages, providing for codification, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Do you have a comment on this?
Yes, sir, thank you. One of the first things your city manager asked us to do was to take a look at this ordinance. I understand it's an important component of what you want to move forward. So with that in mind, our team took a look at what you had enacted in 2017. As you can see from the title, and as your city clerk indicated, we've amended it regarding definitions. More importantly, we've we added additional language you can see as underlined, which begins with section 3, as will fall to codify section 10A. And it's basically the procedure that the city needs to follow to impose a special assessment for the solid. So to allow you to start the process in accordance with the Florida statutes and the Florida case law to impose a special assessment on residential properties that may be to the disposal.
Okay. Not to open up a can of worms, but I want to ask a question. What is anything that we've done up until now not appropriate?
No, sir.
Very good, thank you. That answers the question. No more questions. Does anyone else have a question?
And as a follow-up to that, Mr. Mayor, our original in 2017-7, the circumstances of what we were writing at the time and had to pass the ordinance reflected what we were and what we had to be. And as we've discussed on many occasions, as we continue to change, as we continue to grow, things that were are no longer. Modify, have to bolt on the next level, the next level, the next level. So we'll be constantly, as we're growing, adding things and modifying some of our prior ordinances that were written to address issues at the time, which are now different. So it looks like, oh, why'd you do that? Well, at the time, it was what we had to do. And so that's for, there is one change that I know Mr. Rossmell's going to, go ahead, I'm sorry.
To follow up on that point, to give you and members of the council, as you progress, the amendment of existing ordinances is a pretty standard practice in Florida municipalities. So an amendment shouldn't be taken as an indication of any misstep, or it's continued growth in your city, and we're using that ordinance as the foundation to move forward.
Thank you, I was starting to sweat up.
Correct me,
Next
correct me if I'm wrong, but just to simplify the intent of this is one of the very last steps so that our trash bill is included in our tax roll.
Correct this, and then next, I believe the next step is a mailed notice to all the residents, et cetera. There's a couple more steps that we have to go through. We've already been in contact with the property appraiser and taxing authority so that we're getting on the roll, et cetera. We've already got the tax roll ready. So we just have to, dot the i's, cross the final t's, and make it to the goal line.
I made promises, so.
Trust me, I don't want to wrap after this. If it doesn't work right.
We're gonna have to be right, they're going to be sitting right in that backyard. Excuse me.
You want me to, I'll go ahead and I'll address it. I know Ms. Rossmell had spoken to me before. There is one thing that is in here that we need to clarify between first reading and second reading. And that is that the assessment is on those single-family residents that are CO'd, not just already platted. In other words, so we're not collecting trash or garbage from anything that's not CO, to be effective at the CO. So we'll have to, I'm not sure exactly where that goes. Catherine can address that.
Right, that's it. We just wanted to make sure that there would be no assessment on vacant lots. And there's a very minor two-word change that we think would go that.
Shouldn't be because there's no trash being collected.
Correct.
Which is very clear from the rest of the ordinance that that's completely the intent. It's just one little place.
Well, I don't know, there's some cows out there.
Oh, SWA is not.
I saw them today. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
With that, this is public hearing. Do we have any comments from the public?
Mayor, I received no previous comment cards. We'll give the virtual audience a moment to raise their virtual hand or unmute their device if they wish to make a comment. If you're on a telephone, you've been muted. Please press *6, state your name and your address.
Is this about things that have been on the agenda? Are we at the end now?
We're on public hearing for the first reading for ordinance 2021-02.
Oh, all right, cancel.
I see no public comments.
Thank you. With that, there's no more from the council on this. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion to adopt ordinance 2021-02.
I'll second.
I have a motion made by Vice Mayor O'Connor to adopt ordinance 2021-02, seconded by Councilwoman Long Robinson. Roll call. Mayor Manning,
Yes.
Councilwoman Long Robinson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Crump,
Yes.
Councilman Paul,
Yes.
Vice Mayor O'Connor.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. I need to go back. I don't believe that I asked if on ordinance 2021-01, on that ordinance for the sound, if there was any public comment on that item. I need to ask.
Mayor, I received no public comments for ordinance 2021-01. If you'd like to give the virtual audience a moment to raise their virtual hand or mute their device. If they're on a telephone, please press *6, state your name and address.
I will. It's me again, Alicia Torres, 5847 Whippoorwill Circle. I just want to clarify, is the maximum decibel level 92 for this ordinance, this updated ordinance? I didn't see it written anywhere.
There's a chart in the ordinance.
I believe it varies in use level, whether it's purely residential or residential and commercial and mixed use.
Mr. Castle's looking at it.
If you look on page section table 1 is in certain sound zones. Between 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. is a maximum of 78 in R1 and R2, 78 dBA. Mixed use is 85, town center zone is 85, medical is 78. Between the time of 10 p.m. to 7 a.m., R1 and R2 is 55 dBA, 75 in the mixed use, 60 in the town center, 55 in the medical zone. From Friday and Saturday holidays, from 7 a.m. to 1 a.m., it's 78 in the R1 and R2, 85 in the mixed use commercial, 85 in the town center, and 78 in the medical zone center. And Friday, Saturday, and holiday is Friday through Saturday and holidays from 1 a.m. to 7 a.m. is 55, 65, 65, and 55. So we did in the pages and sections, table 1 and table 2 lays out the maximum dBAs in certain zones for the community.
Okay, thank you very much.
Do you have further from the public on this item?
Mayor, I see no additional comments.
Very good, we'll move on. Sorry, I didn't get that out there. Apologize. Okay, we're gonna move on to item C, first reading ordinance 2021-03, chapter 3, additional medical uses as permitted in a mixed use district. We did have this item on our LTA meeting just previous to this. The approval, or suggestion for the vote for approval came from the LPA meeting to move forward this, but so let's go move forward for this first reading. Zoe, if you would, ordinance 2021-03.
First reading for ordinance 2021-03, an ordinance of the City Council for the City of Westlake, Florida, amending Chapter 3 entitled Zoning Districts and Standards to include provisions for additional medical uses as permitted uses within the mixed-use zoning district, providing for codification, providing for a conflicts clause, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Thank you. Do we have any comment from the public on this item?
Mayor, I received no previous comment cards. We'll give the virtual audience a moment to raise their virtual hand. If you wish to make a comment, please raise your virtual hand. If you've been muted, please press *6. Please state your name and address. Mayor, I see no comments.
Thank you. Do we have any further comment on this item from the council? Sure, no comment from the council. Would someone like to make a motion?
Make a motion to adopt ordinance 2021-03.
I'll second.
I have a motion to adopt 2021-03 by Councilwoman Crump, seconded by Councilwoman Long Robinson. Roll call. Councilwoman Long Robinson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Crump.
Yes.
Councilman Paul.
Yes.
Vice Mayor O'Connor.
Yes.
Mayor Manning.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Let's move on to item D, first reading, Article 5, subdivision and site development standards, land development regulations. This is the first reading. It's also an LPA meeting. Please read by title ordinance number 2021-04.
On first reading, ordinance number 2021-04, an ordinance of the City Council for the City of Westlake, Florida, establishing mandatory land development regulations within the City of Westlake, which shall be entitled Land Development Regulations, providing for purpose and intent, providing for subdivision and site development standards, providing for waivers and exemptions, providing for City Council approval, providing for site development permits, providing for required improvements, providing for driveway and access requirements, providing for minimum design standards for local roads, providing for time of completion of required improvements, providing for codification, providing for a conflicts clause, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Do we have any public comment on this item?
I received no previous comments. I will give the virtual audience a moment to raise their virtual hand. Please unmute your device, state your name and address. If you've been muted and you're on your telephone, please press *6. I have no comments.
Do we have any further comment from council on this item? Show no further comment on this item from the council. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to adopt ordinance 2021-04.
I'll second.
I have a motion to adopt 2021-04 by Councilwoman Crump, seconded by Vice Mayor O'Connor. Roll call. Councilwoman Crump.
Yes.
Councilman Paul.
Yes.
Vice Mayor O'Connor.
Yes.
Mayor Manning.
Yes.
Councilwoman Long Robinson.
Yeah.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you. Move on to item E, first reading, amending ordinance 2019-12 in chapter 1 of the city's code of ordinances, clarifying the duties, responsibilities, and composition of the planning and zoning board. This item was also on our OPA meeting and received approval from that OPA meeting council, and Do we have any, would we read by title, please?
First reading for ordinance 2021-05, an ordinance of the City Council for the City of Westlake, Florida, amending ordinance number 2019-12, adopted October 28, 2019, amending Chapter 1 of the City Code of Ordinances by clarifying the duties, responsibilities, and composition of the Planning and Zoning Board, repealing ordinance number 2016-3, repealing ordinance number 2020-09, adopted September 14, 2020, providing for codification, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, City Clerk. Do you have any public comment on this item?
I received no previous comment cards. We'll give the virtual audience a moment to raise their virtual hand. If you wish to make a comment, please state your name and address. If you've been muted, please press *6. I see no public comments, Mayor.
Thank you. Do we have any further discussion on this item from the council? Show no further discussion on this item. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion to adopt 2021-05.
Okay.
I have a motion to adopt 2021-05 by Vice Mayor O'Connor, seconded by Councilwoman Crump. Roll call. Councilman Paul.
Yes.
Vice Mayor O'Connor.
Yes.
Mayor Manning.
Yes.
Councilwoman Long Robinson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Crump.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. So we move on to the public hearing and our second readings. Start out with item A, resolution for the Pod H Landings Master Plan. It's submitted by Planning and Zoning. Melissa, you have some comments on this?
Excuse me if I might interrupt. This is city clerk at this point swearing people for the part of the judicial proceeding. Zoe.
Anyone who wishes to provide a testimony, please stand, raise your right hand.
No, excuse me, just for this particular matter.
Just for this.
This item?
Just for this item.
So you might want
If you'll be presenting testimony, please stand and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm that the information I am about to present will be the truth and nothing but the truth. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Zoe.
Thank you.
Evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. We do have a presentation with regard to this application.
Just a moment, I'll bring up the presentation for you. You're now the presenter.
Thank you. The application that is in front of you is with regard to Part H, Westlake Landing Master Site Plan. This application, this master site plan is approximately 50.826 acres and is located on the western side of the Seminole Whitney Road. It is located in our downtown mixed use and mixed use zoning. The master site plan includes 9 parcels. Parcel A1 was already approved and was last year, and is 7-Eleven, the convenience store, is 2.48 acres. Parcel A2 is 118 acres and is being presented and proposed for a fast food restaurant with drive-through. Parcel B1 is 1.68 acres and includes a retail and fast food restaurant with drive-through. Parcel B2 is 1.82 acres and includes, again, retail and fast food restaurant. Parcel C1 is being proposed for, again, fast food restaurant with drive-through. Parcel B is 1.81 acres and includes fast food with a drive-through. Parcel E, 5.75 acres, and is a self-storage facility that is part of the agenda tonight and will be presented. Parcel F is 14.44 acres with a commercial recreation component, and parcel G is 17.41 acres, including office, also light industrial. This graph represents when I ask to the applicant how many phases will have this master site plan. The response was this master site plan has 2 phases. Phase 1, which is already approved, which is 7-Eleven, the convenience stores and a gas station, and then the whole entire rest of the parcel is named as phase 2. And it's important to mention that when I ask, how do we know what's gonna be first on all these parcels? The answer is additional parcels will be developed per market-driven demand. As the market demands, then there will be developments. And as explained very clearly on the staff report, every one of these parcels, as they come through, it will be presented to the council, and the council will be approving each of these parcels as they come through. What is the ownership? This is very important. This is a property owner association, or POA. It's different from the Publix Plaza that you have approved last year in November. Publix Plaza has 1 owner. This will have a number of owners. With regard to access ways and connecting sidewalks, as shown there, the graphic shows the yellow arrows are showing the vehicular access. Also, we are showing the orange arrows are showing the pedestrian and bicycle access. And there will be a system of internal sidewalks, which is the light blue graphic. Those are internal sidewalks. This site plan has been reviewed by Fire Safety, Mr. Wesley from the Palm Beach County Fire Rescue. Has been also reviewed for landscaping and drainage. With regard to drainage, has been reviewed by our city engineer and said. Also, this site plan has been reviewed for traffic by our city engineer. And obviously, we have been looking at very close the roadway connections. As we, the city, receive these site plans, and as I mentioned it before, we look at very, very close the aesthetics. Because once the comprehensive plan was adopted in 2018, and as I clearly explained in the staff report, aesthetics was a very important part of the comprehensive plan. So, and I always, whenever we receive an application, we make sure that we review the aesthetic part too. And I just want to say it into the record, design and aesthetics are paramount to the vision and goals of the city of Westlake. Final remarks. It's important to emphasize that this master site plan is not including signage. Signage is not part of this. That will be approved and come in front of council at a later time. And also, as included on the staff report, staff is recommending two conditions of approval. Number 1 and number 2 are showing on the slides and part of the staff report. And I believe the applicant has the presentation.
Well, good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. For the record, Donaldson Hearing with Cutler and Hearing here tonight on behalf of PBLH LLC, which is Minto. And this is exciting to present this request here. We're first going to talk about the master plan, but the next petition on the agenda is for an actual development. And in the audience is Mr. Christopher Perry, who I will introduce when we get to that petition. So we're excited to move forward some things. As Nielsen pointed out, we are looking at Parcel H. So Parcel H is south of Persimmon and west of Seminole Pratt Whitney, north of Seminole Ridge High School. And it's just over 50 acres in size. As you'll recall, when we brought forth the 7-Eleven, we've already platted the overall parcel as well as the original 7-Eleven site. And so this is a site that we're coming forward with, and we're really excited that we've got a number of users that are coming up. Publix, which is to the north, immediately north of this, and I am pleased to tell you that they are close to starting construction any day. So I know that you're very excited about that, and so that's should occur very quickly, and we believe what we're proposing here will just be a great complement given the location of the site. Nielsen ran through all of the uses. We are proposing 9 total parcels, and as noted on the screen that's in front of you right now, they range from just a little bit over 1 acre to as large as 17.41 acres. And I'll go through the different uses that are contemplated on the site. There is some limited infrastructure that will be constructed as a part of this parcel, which I will also review. So on the screen right now, of course, highlighted in the blue is the Seminole Pratt Whitney Rural Parkway buffer. That remains in place. We are taking advantage of some opportunities to connect, as Nielsen pointed out, from the pedestrian perspective to the multimodal path into the development parcels that front along Seminole Pratt Whitney. But we have 9 parcels, including the 7-Eleven, so a total of 8 new additional parcels. Connectivity, there'll be an access from Seminole Pratt Whitney about mid-block. That's an existing pre-programmed access point that's been on the books as a part of the original master plan and original Seminole Pratt Whitney roadway plans. And then we're proposing a north to south collector road that will serve each of the parcels. And then probably even more important, we are, as a part of this master plan, requiring each of these parcels to be interconnected. So when they're interconnected, you reduce traffic out onto the major roads, and one can travel back and forth. And we'll walk through that a little bit more as we go. So Nielsen ran through the uses. The parcels that are highlighted in the orange are anticipated to be a quick serve type restaurants. And so we are hoping to submit an application on the 24th of this month on behalf of Conover South for those parcels fronting Seminole Pratt Whitney. So I think you'll be very excited when that comes forward. To the north, the parcels highlighted in red, those will be more traditional retail buildings, with the end caps having the opportunity to also have a quick serve restaurant, more like your Chipotle type restaurants. And we don't have a Chipotle, but that type of a restaurant in there with retail and services to serve the market. And I'm excited to tell you there's a lot of good interest and we'll be submitting that application on the 24th of the month. Parcel E, which is highlighted in the yellow, is proposed to be 140,000 square feet of self-storage. That site plan is on the agenda this evening after this request, and that is ready to go forward immediately, and we'll go through the different types of self-storage that are being provided, as well as the opportunity for boat and RV storage, something that's not available right now in the city, so it would be a great benefit. Parcel G, we anticipate being office and light industrial uses. So opportunities for smaller users, so, your tile fabricator, your repair people, the types of things that every city needs. And we just think that that's a great location up adjacent to the Sid Canal, which runs north and south, and then adjacent to the canal along Seminole Ridge High School. And Parcel F is an exciting opportunity that we're looking at bringing to the city, which would be what I call a commercial recreation. So commercial recreation would basically where recreation is provided both indoors and outdoors for a fee as opposed to a park. So a little bit more active. So that's something that we'll be bringing before you. And with that, that's our request. We are in agreement with staff's recommendation for approval. Both of those conditions are fine, and we're very excited to move forward. I would point out that all of the uses that are proposed are fully consistent, not only with your comprehensive plan, but are permitted uses as defined by your land development code, subject to site plan review and approval. We also pointed back each of these parcels, just the same as parcel D, which we'll be presenting to you shortly, has to come back to you for reviewing the details. And with that, I'll conclude my presentation, and I believe Ms. Dewey would like to say something.
Good evening, Tara Dewey, Lewis Lemon Walker, on behalf of Minto PBLH LLC. I would just ask that the application materials submitted for this be made part of the record of tonight's hearing.
And
Do you have any questions for Mr.
More than happy to answer any questions.
I've just got a couple. So this phase two, not 7-Eleven 2.0, but the rest of it, phase two, I assume there'll be some simultaneous type construction going on. What's the plan to mitigate the construction traffic? Well, is there going to be some temporary egress, entrance away from the main roads?
We would anticipate that you're going to have construction on Persimmon West, which obviously there's no development on Persimmon right now. So you can see the trucks out there now starting to do some of the land development work, trying to get that done. So you'll have access, multiple opportunities along Persimmon, and then there's only one point of access off of Seminole Pratt, which is at the main entrance. We would anticipate that the Persimmon entrance, which is a signalized intersection, probably makes the most sense. And because as you pointed out, Councilman, it's likely that you'll have Publix under construction as well as these parcels under construction. Now, the first parcels to be developed will be those fronting on Seminole Pratt and the self-storage, and then of course Publix. So the good news is that really the land development component of this will all be happening kind of simultaneously, and the signalized intersections makes the most sense to bring cars in and out of it.
So you're pretty confident that the construction traffic isn't really going to have too great of an impact on regular residential?
It should be certainly no greater than the construction traffic that have to come on and off Seminole Pratt to serve the communities that are growing so wonderfully.
Excellent. Very exciting stuff. Thank you. Oh, one more question. And I gotta ask. Golf cart access in and out of this place.
Well, Councilman,
I would have been disappointed if you didn't ask that.
Well, I knew you were going to ask the question. So you'll be pleased to state or to know that the access points off of the multimodal pathway are a full 12 feet wide. They come in And the way that we brought them into the site is so that you can come, if you were on the multimodal pathway, you can go directly to the access aisle in a very safe, convenient way. And you'll see that with when we bring in the details for those parcels. Again, we'll be submitting those on the 24th.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
You didn't ask if 2.0 was gonna have dog cart there.
Well, I think I'm gonna get there. It's on my,
I know.
comments that.
Thank you.
I'm gonna save that to you.
Do we have any further questions for Mr. Harris? None. I'm gonna have to, go back again. We need to read this resolution by title, please.
Resolution 2021-008, a resolution of the City Council for the City of Westlake, Florida, approving the master site plan amendment for Westlake Landings, containing a convenience store with a gas station on parcel A1, fast food restaurant with drive-through on parcel A2, retail and fast food restaurant with drive-through on parcel B1, retail and fast food restaurant with drive-through on parcel B2, fast food restaurant with drive-through on parcel C1, fast food restaurant with drive-through on parcel C2, self-storage on parcel E, commercial recreation on parcel F, and office and light industrial on parcel G, located at 16860 Persimmon Boulevard West in the city of Westlake, Palm Beach County, Florida, providing for implementation and providing an effective date.
Thank you. And do we have any public questions? Comments?
We received no previous public comment cards. We'll give the audience a moment to raise their virtual hand, unmute their device, state their name and address. If you've been muted, please press *6. I have a public comment from Alicia Torres. Ms. Torres, please state your name and address.
Hi, Alicia Torres, 5847 Whippoorwill Circle. I'm just curious about the midway east to west access to the development. Is that going to come from the northbound direction of Seminole Pratt Whitney also? And if so, will there be a light, or is this just you know, a yield type of crossover? Thank you.
For the record, Donaldson Hearing, on behalf of Minto PVH LLC. So what could exist right now is a channelized intersection. So if you're driving northbound, there is the ability, there's a left turn lane where one could get into the left turn lane and then have a channelized entrance in. And that works well because there's a signalized intersection at Persimmon. And so you have the gaps in the timing of traffic, so it makes a very safe and appropriate location. And then, of course, if you're southbound and if you were going to the parcels in the southern portion, you'd have the opportunity to obviously turn in, take a right turn in on Persimmon, and then come down the north-south road, or you could go straight and come in on the entrance off of Seminole Pratt Whitney. So I trust that answers the question. But both have stacking lanes, turn lanes, and are all part of the original Westlake master traffic plan.
Any further questions concerning this item?
Ms. Torres, did you have another comment?
No, that was it. Thank you very much.
I see no additional public comments, Mayor. Thank you. Any further comments from the council, the audience? Okay.
Just one brief one. Just really want to remind you all that there is a master POA over the entire parcel, which controls the stormwater access, et cetera, of the common areas. So there is a master POA that all of the parcels belong to.
Thank you, Mr. Council. Do we have a motion on this item?
I'll gladly make the motion to approve resolution 2021-08.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion by Vice Mayor O'Connor to approve Resolution 2021-08, seconded by Councilwoman Crump. Roll call. Vice Mayor O'Connor.
Yes.
Mayor Manning.
Yes.
Councilwoman Long Robinson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Crump.
Yeah.
Councilman Paul.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Changing of guard, please. I was gonna allow the interim city attorney to explain this, but we'll leave it up to Mr. Castle. Why don't you explain why we had a change in city attorney?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, council, and audience. The interim city attorney term represents in the transaction side of the self-storage, the property transaction. So therefore, there would be a conflict. So he has recused himself for this item. And I have contracted with Pamela Ryan of Not Law Firm to set in. She agreed to set in for this item for us and serve as interim attorney for this one item.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Castle. This is item B, a resolution for Todd H. Pinnacle Self-Storage Site Plan, which is being submitted by Planning and Zoning and under in order that it's supposed to this time. Zoe, would you read by title, please?
Resolution 2021-15, a resolution of the City Council for the City of Westlake, Florida, approving the site plan for an approximately 107,290 square foot self-service storage and approximately half-acre outdoor area for storage of boats and recreational vehicles located in the Westlake Landings Plaza on Parcel H at 4701 Seminole Pratt Whitney Road in the City of Westlake, Palm Beach County, Florida, providing for implementation and providing an effective date.
Thank you. Nelson, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we do need to go ahead and swear in all of the parties for this particular.
You got me again. Okay. Zoe, we're ready.
If you will be presenting testimony, please stand and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm.
I do solemnly swear or affirm.
That the information I'm about to present.
The information I'm about to present.
Will be the truth and nothing but the truth.
Be the truth and nothing but the truth.
Thank you very much. Please be seated.
Please.
Mr. Mayor, council members, Mrs. Zacharias, Planning and Zoning Director for the City of Westlake. The application that is in front of you is for self-storage at Westlake Landings, which is Part H, which was just presented, the master site plan. The self-storage facility in total is at approximately 107,290 square feet and also includes approximately half acre of outdoor area for storage of boats and recreational vehicle. And as I mentioned before, it's part of Part H, and specifically is Parcel C.
H-P-E.
Yes.
Sorry.
Parcel E. So Part H, Parcel E is approximately 5.75 acres in our mixed-use district. As shown before on the presentation, this is the location of Parcel E. And again, this is, as I mentioned before, is a POA with individual ownership. This is a specific site plan, which presents one principal building is fronting Seminole Pratt Whitney Road and is a 3-story. It's a limited access storage and has approximately 76,510 square feet. Then you have 6 buildings, which are 1-story multi-access storage buildings. Approximately the total is 30,780 square feet. And on the rear, you have 0.71 acres of outdoor area for storing boats and recreational vehicles. As part of the zoning review, we have this table and I think Don is very used to seeing our table when we are doing our reviews. We just back check everything under the sun to be in compliance with our zoning code. Obviously setbacks, lot coverages, open space, number of parking spaces, number of bike racks, and so on. And this application is in compliance with these specifics of our zoning code. Also, we are looking at very close the amount of open space because it's critical for our drainage system throughout the city. So this specific application has 51.38% of open space, or which the code in this specific area requests 25% of the parcel needs to be green area or pervious. The other interesting with this site plan is that on the side fronting Seminole Pratt Whitney Road, there is a FPU proposed easement and facility. As you know, FPU is the provider of gas for the city of Westlake. So they are building a facility right beside the principal building. And it's a FPU will install a natural gas regulator station to reduce the gas pressure from transmission pressure to distribution pressure. We have reviewed this very in detail because it's fronting our main corridor. And as I mentioned before, we are always concerned about the aesthetics of our corridor. And the site plan provides enough screening. First of all, provides a wall screening this facility, and then that wall is also provides landscaping. And in addition, we have a berm on the our fronting Seminole Pratt Whitney Road on our multimodal path. As I mentioned before, aesthetics of the primary building were carefully considered because that primary building is fronting Seminole Pratt Whitney Road. This is the look of the primary building that will be fronting Seminole Pratt Whitney Road. This is the north facade, and this is the facade that we will be fronting our main corridor. On the rear of our primary building, we have these multi-access storage buildings, as shown on the slide. Also, as part of the review, we review the landscaping, the drainage, fire safety, traffic. All of these text is included on the staff report also. And just as a final remark, this application does not include signage. It's coming at a later time with a separate application. And there is one specific recommendation of approval that is part of the resolution. And the applicant has a presentation.
Thank you, Zoe, very much. Again, for the record, Mr. Mayor and council members, Donaldson Hearing here tonight on this petition on behalf of Pinnacle Self-Storage. With me is my good friend Chris Perry, and he is the owner and developer of the facility, and my other good friend, Mr. Kenneth Carlson, the project architect. We've worked on many successful projects over the years, and Ken was the architect on a similar facility that we just completed in Jupiter that Mr. Perry was involved with. So, and that's this facility that's right up on the screen. So this is a facility that I think we completed sometime in 19 or 20.
Yeah, 19.
And end of 19 in the town of Jupiter. This is also a 3-story facility, just for most of you who aren't familiar with self-storage. A 3-story self-storage facility is really equal to about a 2-story modern-day office building. So it's about 36 feet in height. And because it's self-storage, they don't need the tall floor-to-floors that you would traditionally get with an office. So you see that generally when they're articulated almost as if it appears to be 2 stories versus 3 stories. And that's just a design scale technique that we utilize. As Nielsen pointed out, it's located within Pod H of the Westlake Master Plan, specifically immediately north of Seminole Ridge High School and immediately west of Seminole Pratt Whitney roadway. It's located on parcel E of Pod H, and which we talked about previously. So we think it's in a good location up adjacent to where the school is today. Parcel E is just about 6 acres, 5.75 acres. Now you might have noticed when we presented to you the master plan, there was 140,000 square feet of self-storage proposed. And so in the future, we may come back and add as the market demands. So what's in front of you today is less than the 140,000 square feet, and we're providing really 3 or 4 different types of storage. First is what we refer to as limited access self-storage. So what is that? That's typically an individual building, totally climate controlled, 3 levels. There's interior bays where you can store your goods, your furniture, your records, and these types of facilities are fill a number of needs. First, of anyone who might be moving into the city of Westlake. They have goods, they're waiting for their house to be built, they've moved out of somewhere, maybe they moved into an apartment, they need to put their goods somewhere, typically in the limited access self-storage. It's also a great driver of business. That's something that most people don't really realize. So I'm taking the opportunity to provide that education. So often today, there's so many home businesses, whether you are a homemaker that does Etsy, or your online retail, you don't have the opportunity to store all the goods in your garage. So these types of facilities provide that record keeping. A lot of our medical providers have to keep their medical records, even though a lot of it's online today. They still have to keep their paper records, so they store records. And then you have other sales folks that utilize these types of facilities to basically expand their business. So a very critical component that's not currently here in Westlake that will fit a good need. Then we have multi-access self-storage. So multi-access self-storage can be climate controlled, and I think we'll have some that will be climate controlled, but the majority are not. They have a roll-up door, and so the multi-access self-storage are utilized by all types of contractors. An individual homeowner can rent them, but they tend to focus more on a business user. They would be used by, say, a homeowner who had jet skis, and they want to put their jet skis inside, or say you're a hunter. One of you guys has got to be a hunter, and you have your four-wheel vehicle. You'd store your four-wheel vehicle there if you couldn't store it in the house. So they serve those needs. Also, contractors will utilize it to store materials. Small landscape maintenance companies will store there. Traditionally, you cannot do work out of there. It's not a machine shop, but you store, you get your goods, and you can leave. So it provides a great opportunity. That diversity of products will really do well for the city. The third type is we have some outdoor covered storage. So those are for RVs or boats or for a nice car. And so we have a certain amount of spaces that are covered. So if you have a nice boat and you want it covered, you can put it there. And then we have some open air where you could actually just park it. Obviously, the costs are less. So you're providing and meeting a multitude of needs where someone might just have a truck. So as you're aware, commercial vehicles cannot be stored overnight. within the individual neighborhoods. So this would be a great opportunity. They could store it here, then they come and leave their car in the morning, and put it in the same space where their truck is, leave and go and provide the service that they need to provide. So really provides for a lot of opportunities. The other thing that I really like to, and I know that your city manager appreciates, is these types of facilities have great tax revenue. In other words, they have a very high tax assessed value, and they put very little burden, if any, on your services. They don't use any water. They don't produce school children. They don't require much police or fire, and they produce virtually very little traffic. So very, very little traffic generator that's provided. So it's great for tax revenue, and certainly will great for a growing city to have the use of it. So I guess the next slide here. So as far as the site plan itself, this is the site plan. He also pointed out the building in towards Seminole Pratt Whitney is the limited access climate controlled building. So very nice. There are no openings toward Seminole Pratt. All the parking's in the rear. It's hidden in the rear by the building. There's even a covered area for loading, which is nice. A lot of the climate-controlled self-storage facilities don't have an area where you've got covered loading. So this actually has an area that you can back into and is covered. And then the multi-access, you can see, of course, that's secure. So there's a gated access to get back there, and it's totally secure. And then the ability to exit out of the facility. The covered open storage is located along the extreme west. So around the perimeter, totally secure. You don't see any of the bay doors from the perimeter. Lots of landscaping around the perimeter of the facility, as your staff has reviewed. So it's very well articulated. Concerning the gas substation that Nielsen pointed out, really, it's not much different. Seminole Improvement District actually has a similar type of facility on the opposite side of the road for their reuse water. So all the reuse water comes into a similar type of a facility, and then it's broken down and distributed into smaller lines. But Mr. Carter actually required that facility to be screened not only by a wall, but by landscaping. And then, of course, you've got the berm on Seminole Pratt Whitney that Nielsen pointed out. Which was that also provides screening. Access comes right off of that north-south collector road. You'll approach the building with kind of an architectural element there at the end. We'll be bringing signage back to you, hopefully at your next meeting or the August meeting. But the sign, we're not going to have a ground sign. It'll just basically be a nice sign on that little building when you see it. He also went over and showed you the elevations. So again, we try to articulate it more as a 2-story building than a 3-story. The ends have nice tower elements that Ken did a great job on. The colors have been designed to not only be consistent with kind of the more forward-leaning colors that you see within the city of Westlake, also the more contemporary design. You'll see that same theme as we start to bring through some of the other uses within Pod H. So a couple 3-dimensional renderings just to give you an idea. Now, all the landscaping here along Seminole Pratt Whitney is taken away. Obviously, it's a very dense amount of landscaping, but just so you can see the building, a couple 3D renderings of how the overall facility is articulated. And that's our presentation. We're excited to be here. I know Mr. Perry is very excited, and he really appreciates the opportunity to be here and to tell you how good a job that you and your staff do. That today is the expiration of the due diligence period. Just due diligence. He's going to get his final approval on the expiration of his due diligence period. So, but he's very excited to move forward, and we'll be moving forward very, very quickly. And he's been watching Westlake for a while. And Mr. Carter hand-selected Mr. Perry based on his experience, and thought he would do the best job for the city of Westlake. And having worked with him in the past, I can promise you that he certainly will. And so with that, I'll conclude my presentation. I think Ms. Dewey probably wants to make this a part of the record or something. All right, no, she's good with it as it is, so I'll conclude my presentation. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Any questions for the council?
Just a quick question on that landscaping, in front of the main building. Was the 3D rendering anywhere near it or not even close?
It didn't represent any of it. The landscaping is, we have 80 feet of buffer with the 3 to 5 foot berm, so it's really pretty big. You know, will you see the top of the building coming
Top
out?
and the logo. Probably.
You will, but you're not going to see the middle part of the building. And then all the landscaping is, you know, as well done as everything that you see. It's very, very nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do you have anything else from the council? We have any comments from the public?
Mayor, I received no previous comment cards. We'll give the virtual audience a moment to raise their virtual hand. Please state your name and address. If you have been muted, please press *6. We received a public comment from Sam B. What are the proposed access hours, or are the units accessible 24 hours?
Let me give you the typical response. His response is he hasn't a final determination has not been made, but typically they're office hours, and then there's keypad hours. So there are some areas of the site that could be reached during non-business hours, depending on the need.
Good question. Any other questions?
Mayor, I see no additional comments.
Okay, with that, we have a motion.
I make a motion to move forward with resolution 2021-15.
I'll second.
I have a motion to approve Resolution 2021-15 by Councilwoman Long Robinson, seconded by Vice Mayor O'Connor. Roll call. Mayor Manning.
Approved.
Councilwoman Long Robinson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Crump.
Yes.
Councilman Paul.
Yes.
Vice Mayor O'Connor.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Very good.
Very exciting.
Welcome on your last day of due diligence.
And we're excited. Well done.
Thank you.
Talk tomorrow.
Okay, we're gonna move on with item C, resolution for the Winn-Dixie site modification. And we have to be sworn in for this one also.
If you'll be presenting testimony, please stand and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm that the information I am about to present will be the truth and nothing but the truth. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Zoe, would you read resolution 2021-16 by title, please?
Resolution 2021-16, a resolution of the City Council for the City of Westlake, Florida, approving the site plan modification for an approximately 49,610 square foot Winn-Dixie grocery store and approximately 2,535 square foot liquor store located in the Grove Market Shopping Center at 5042 Seminole Pratt Whitney Road in the City of Westlake, Palm Beach County, Florida, providing for implementation and providing an effective date.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Presentation.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, council member, for the record, Mr. Zacarias, planning and zoning director for the city of Westlake. The presentation that is, oops. Okay, thank you, Zoe. that the presentation, the application that is in front of you is for Winn-Dixie site plan modification. As we all know, we have in our city an existing shopping plaza, is the Grove Market Shopping Plaza. Part of that is approximately 49,000 square feet of the grocery store, and also now is being proposed 2,500 square feet of a liquor store. We are all very familiar with our Grove Market Shopping Center. It was built in 1999, and Winn-Dixie actually remained a tenant until February 2018. Then closed doors, and then signed a new lease in December 2020. This is the existing elevation of the current building. The application specifically is for the existing Winn-Dixie, and they are upgrading the aesthetic architectural facade. They are proposing new materials and new paint colors. So, and there is also an addition of the interior car corral and storage area. And they are also updating the entry storefront, new canopy to cover the walkway, and a new liquor store with separate entrance. This is the proposed rendering, and I believe they have also a presentation to go into further details. This application does not include signage. It's under a separate application. That's the reason you don't see on this main facade the signage. To clarify this modification, this improvement include increasing 1,238 square feet to the grocery store floor plan. And as I mentioned before, upgrading the facade and interior modifications to the current vacant grocery store. It's important to clarify that this increase into 1,238 is not really increasing the impervious area, because that is already part of the sidewalk, so, and part of the cover area. So what they are doing is they are enclosing part of the cover area for inside the building, so they can put the cars on the interior rather than being on the exterior. And we work very close with the applicant, and I believe they fully understood that design and aesthetics are paramount to the vision and goals of the city of Westlake. There was in general review for drainage and also fire safety, and planning and zoning and the engineering department is recommending approval of the subject application. We have no conditions of approval. And now the applicant will have a presentation.
Good evening. Good evening, council. Good evening, mayor and council, city staff. I want to step out and say hello on behalf of Winn-Dixie and Southeastern Grocers. My name is Becky Wright. I'm running their new store design and construction program. And I think this is a great meeting for us to come out to, especially seeing your cool video, because obviously we closed our doors in a few years ago. And when we got the opportunity to come back to the table for a new store program, and I'm sure all you guys are familiar with SEG and Winn-Dixie, but they haven't built a new store in quite a while. Westlake is our very first new store. So we are super excited to be part of the growth program at Westlake. As part of this new growth, we have been tasked with rolling out a new prototype. So this store will be our first Winn-Dixie prototype. You're looking at an elevation that we've developed with our branding team through the CEO, through the CFO. This isn't just us taking over a building and putting a Winn-Dixie sign up. We've gone to the landlords and asked for permission to modify the exterior to be able to upgrade this area. And as you can see from Melissa's great presentation, we're adding 1,200 square feet. That's the site plan modification so that we can do an interior cart corral. As you can see from the existing site plan, there's ample parking out there. And we're really super excited to be part of the revitalization of this center. That's such a core spot at Westlake. The growth at Westlake is phenomenal. We're excited to be part of the ground up of that. I have Claude Peterson with me today. He's got some material boards that I'll help him set up so we can get into detail on what exactly our exterior is going to look like for you guys. But we've already started demolition in the project. The fire department has given us full approvals. Hopefully you guys will be pleased with what we're doing on the exterior side, and we can continue with the intent of providing 80 to 130 new jobs. And I'm hearing that's it'll be on the heavier side of that given the size of this building as soon as possibly the end of this year. So we're really, really excited to be a part of this. So thank you for letting us be here. And John, you want to hop up and take a gander to the unveiling of what we've got? Yes.
Okay.
Do you want me to bring your?
Well, we actually have a digital version of it so that the council can see it probably a little easier than the boards, but we also brought boards.
Do you guys want to see material boards as well?
Sure.
Okay.
Both ways. Let's see it.
A little heavier than usual. Got a little heavier than the, yeah, the glass got a little heavy. Yeah, really turned out well.
I'd rather use it for your old next to that.
Well,
And then you have more. Why don't you put it there?
I'm nervous that this is gonna fall. Kind of, there we go.
Yeah.
Hey, this is John Zeeberg. He's our lead architect from the exterior, from outside the Winn-Dixie organization. Also brought Julie Lee. She's our interior architect. She represents Southeastern. But John with Claude Peterson, I'm sure you've seen their names. They've done a ton of this type of work. So we partnered with them on our prototype rollout. So I'll leave it to John to kind of walk you through where we landed.
Great. Thank you, Becky.
Yeah.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, councilwomen, councilmen, as well as the city attorney and city manager. We appreciate the opportunity to come and talk. And this is the first time I've attended one of your meetings, and it was so great to see all the growth and development that you guys are managing here. You've cast a wonderful vision. We've experienced a little bit of that working with your staff, Nilsa specifically, and your engineering department as well. And we just are looking forward to being a part of this community again. So with that, I know Zoe's got me set up here. We've got the same exhibits that are on the boards here. I know we presented here. It might be easier for you to see it on your monitors, but we'll go ahead and just advance through that. I'll go back to this one. The first one is the overall site plan that Becky described.
Maybe I'll wait. I'll move this stuff around for you.
Okay, great. Thanks, Becky.
Yeah.
The Winn-Dixie is highlighted in green, and it shows the proposed footprint, which includes enclosing some of those sidewalk areas that we've got up front. And then the existing retail is shaded in the light gray color. As a part of the overall improvements, we're going to be improving the Winn-Dixie, and we're also going to be adding a new color scheme to the retail that's going to be compatible with the new Winn-Dixie. So the whole shopping center is going to have a refresh that's consistent with that. The second board is actually what we call the fixture plan in the grocery world. This is the proposed new Winn-Dixie floor plan with all the various departments and what they call the center store that has the shelving that you're familiar with and all the perimeter departments. And this is based on the new prototype plan that Becky mentioned before. So this is going to be a fresh new look, both from a functional and operations point of view, but also an aesthetic point of view. And then the next view here shows the overall exterior elevation of the building, including the Winn-Dixie that's pretty much centered right in there. What we've called out on these renderings are the exterior color finishes that we're proposing. The existing roofs that are currently green on the retail center are going to be in a compatible gray color that coincides with the exterior finish palette of the Winn-Dixie. And then as you can see on the Winn-Dixie elevations, we have some of their signature brand red color that's going to be for accents that will also coincide with their signage when we come through for the specific signage approval under separate application. This next slide shows the exterior colors that we're talking about, where we have the red highlights over the awnings that are there on the building. And then the liquor store is to the left side of that particular view, and then the main store entry is to the right side, which you can see under the canopies.
So that would be the liquor store entry. This would be the main tower.
The exterior finish palette has a stone base course, which you call kind of a wainscoting, you might call it, that runs along the base of the buildings. And then we have an exterior pre-finished metal panel system that composes over the entry areas that you have there. And then some of the windows that are underneath the awnings, those are actually faux windows, but they'll have a glass that's compatible with the same exterior color scheme that you see on the exterior finishes. And then we have a stone product, a natural stone product that's going to highlight both of the entries that's shown on that image as well. This was a previous option that we had shown, which actually had horizontal canopies over more of the front facade. And after further review and consideration, we felt as though that might be adding a little bit too much red for because the red is such a dominant color. So what we've done is we reduced a little bit of that area, and we've used the red over the awnings and just the entrances to the liquor store as well as the main grocery store. And then the last slide is just a photographic image of the same materials. It looks like it didn't quite come through well, but you can see the actual finished board that we have up front there. And I think that pretty much covers it. So with that, we'd be happy to answer any specific questions that you might have.
So I'm guessing that the extra square footage comes in where that existing roundabout is, it gets closed off and that becomes part of the building?
Yeah, if you look at the site plan, it's real, where that, see where that cuts out right there?
Yeah.
We squared that off, so you don't have that jog anymore, and then we squared this off so we could have the interior car corral.
Awesome. Very
So
exciting.
that's the additional square footage. So it's really just
Yeah.
making it straight.
Clean,
Yeah,
modern.
yeah.
Are you guys gonna make any changes to the parking lot?
I know that the landlord is here and they'll address the overall shopping center, but we're keeping the layout of the parking lot as is.
Correct.
Yes, but we will be redoing, zhuzhing up the pavement, making it cleaner and restriping.
What about landscaping? Does any of that change?
Yeah.
That is part of the next application, the grow market. We'll talk about that.
So there will be another presentation.
Yes, there is another item on your agenda.
Well, first of all, thank you, especially for you to be giving Winn-Dixie a facelift in Westlake, that you saw the value of what was going on in the city to highlight
Absolutely.
what's going on. I'm especially excited because everyone can afford Publix, right? And so you're giving not only constituent or residents in Westlake an option, but you're giving Loxahatchee, the acreage, you're giving them an option. We do have Seminole Ridge High School, who has a construction academy. Have we had conversations with them to see, I know we're creating job opportunity, but have we talked to Seminole Ridge High School to talk about maybe apprenticeship or some type of intern where they could help with construction of the actual facility?
That's a super cool thing to do. I had no idea they had that kind of a program. I'm kind of a, I grew up as a female construction manager.
Yeah.
Started when I was 12,
Yeah.
so yeah.
It's a conversation to.
It is, and especially, having that kind of opportunity. So I would love to talk to somebody from the high school
We can
and
definitely
see
make the
if there's an
connection.
opportunity, even for nothing else, I'd be happy to fly back down here and walk them through the building and just give them kind of a crash course in grocery
Well,
construction.
I would love that. We have another, we have some other development coming that they have agreed to allow those students to partner and help with construction. So if you could do that, that would be a wonderful opportunity, because it creates jobs for them as well, right? Everyone isn't gonna go to college and it's
I love it.
okay.
Yeah.
So I would love to, and Mr. Castle can set that up with the
and
principal.
I know Ken's got my my contact information, but I'll work with SEG and also personally.
And then I'll follow up with Mr. Castle, make sure he does.
Yeah, no, I think that's really exciting. Thank you.
Well, that's a wonderful one.
Yeah, and grocery construction is just such a unique animal, like something you don't really think about, but it's got so many components, like a little city. So it's a good opportunity for somebody who wants to bring up. And actually, Dario, our project manager, is here, so he would be firsthand somebody who can help.
So it looks like he's saying yes from the back. Thank you.
Kind of put him on the spot, but yeah.
I wish somebody had done it to me when I was.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Without giving away the secret sauce, which I can't do, can you touch on like how this Winn-Dixie prototype will be completely different from every other Winn-Dixie we've walked in on? Like, what makes it special?
That's a really great question. I know with COVID and the opportunities that grocery and the growth in the grocery business has brought forth, it's really given Winn-Dixie and actually all grocers an opportunity to look at grocery differently. I know with my background, I kind of, there was that like panic moment when Amazon bought some other retailers and, what that was going to look for the brick and mortar. I think and I don't want to speak on behalf of our merchant operating team, but what I've heard in working with the design of this team is that this is they're super psyched. Like, this is the first opportunity that they've really got to not that it's a just, they've been very, very successful in their renewal programs and rebuilding the Winn-Dixie branding, et cetera, et cetera. This is the first time they've gotten to kind of ground it up, like clean slate, brand new stores. So some of the stuff that I'm involved in, because I'm an engineer by trade, is a lot building systems based. So, some of the new innovative ways to maintain the refrigeration equipment and how to make sure stuff doesn't go down and how quickly you can, all the computerized opportunities for that. But I know for a fact that looking into these markets and, the other guys going across the street, they're really looking really hard at how to be a strong competitive and have some really cool offerings. And so moving Winn-Dixie into the 2020s. Right. So yeah, I think I'm super excited to be a part of it.
We are a city of innovation.
It's super exciting.
Yeah, and that's kind of my passion, is bringing this out, is that innovative part in that concept of it.
I really look forward to it.
Yeah, we're excited. You're welcome.
Yeah, just to add to what Becky said, it's really a curb in refresh. People are going to see Winn-Dixie different from the time that they arrive at the store, but they're also going to see a new decor package in the interior that's going to be fresh and contemporary and really meet the needs of a modern society that we live in. So
that's a great point out. Yeah, the whole new the decor package is brand new. It's all new prototype, new colors, new schemes. Gone or the pink and teal. It's all,
What about the actual product? Any change in like the actual?
That I can't speak to for sure, but I know that they are really looking hard at how to just tie it all together.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We're the beef people.
That's true.
100 years, right?
Yes.
100 years.
Thank you for your presentation.
I have one question.
Yeah, I can.
Take it you're in the new century and stuff. You do have full-blown standby generation systems, et cetera, going to be part of this project.
Okay, so right now on our plans that we've gone in through building review, we have contemplated a full-size generator. We are definitely going to have a life safety generator on site, and we will definitely have an automatic transfer switch as well as quick connection. Right now, we are polling our different stores to determine if we want to have a full-size generator on site all the time, or if this will be one of our stores that we will we have a fleet.
Partial. Understood.
Yes,
I just-
but we will have a full life safety generator.
The reason I
quick
bring
connect.
it up is
Yeah.
there is gas coming
Yes.
right outside your door
Right.
for your gen set.
We'll work within that. Awesome.
Not saying you have to use it, it's just,
It's there.
it's there, we've got gas in the entire city, so again, we're using it on the improvement district side, on all of our gen sets, on our backup our lift stations as backup. So we don't have to worry about cleaning diesel fuel, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Good to know. Good to know.
So there is gas available.
I will definitely bring that up too. City is our interior. We outsource all of our generator setups, et cetera. So I will have a conversation with them. Lawrence is the guy, and have him reach out to you, and we'll figure out the best option.
We'll also be a customer for appliances too. As you know, the appliance packages in the grocery stores are all, gas driven for ovens and energy efficiency.
Yes. So and this is a gas design store, correct?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, very nice.
Anything else I can answer?
Okay, well, do you have any questions for the public?
Hi, it's me, Alicia.
Go ahead, Ms. Torres.
Hi, Alicia Torres, 5847 Whippoorwill Circle. I just wondered if in this new prototype, you're talking a little bit about COVID and what it's taught grocers. I just feel like curbside pickup is something that's become popular and is, it might be here to stay. Are there any provisions for store side pickup of groceries that you order online, or anything a little more futuristic than you would typically see at a typical established grocery store? Thank you.
Great question. So we are setting up, I believe it's 4 dedicated pickup spaces for folks to pull in and be able to have their groceries brought to them. How that program is actually going to work is being tested right now on a couple of other Winn-Dixie sites. And actually I was on a call today with the folks that are in charge of that on how to integrate that best in this store. So more to come on that, but the quick answer is yes, there will be a provision for that type. In its most basic form, we'll have dedicated spots for folks to pull up and be able to get their groceries. And then how that evolves from there, we'll determine and try to figure out what works best for the community.
Okay, thank you. And your guys' enthusiasm is contagious. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
I don't know if that would be a question for you or maybe the landlord, really for you, for the city as a whole. As the car industry is changing, we get more and more electric vehicles. Are there any provision in these parking lots for electric vehicles? Any stations where, and throughout the city, will we have, all these various parks and all these other places where people can charge their cars?
That's a great question, because in fact, it's coming to July, a proposed ordinance. We look at again the parking code. So we are coming in front of council, proposed ordinance that is actually regulating how many spaces the vehicle electrical charges and all of that. So yes, staff has been working diligently in code ordinance, and it will be in front of council in July.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. We have no further questions. Do we have a motion?
You want to read this up for Michael?
Yeah, I make the motion to the resolution 2021-17. 2021-16.
I'll second.
I have a motion to approve Resolution 2021-16 by Vice Mayor O'Connor, seconded by Councilwoman Long Robinson. Roll call. Councilwoman Long Robinson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Crump.
Yes.
Councilman Paul,
Yes.
Vice Mayor O'Connor,
Yes.
Mayor Manning.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's move on to item B, a resolution for Grove Market site plan. Zoe, if you'd read resolution 2021 by title, -17, and we have to swear in anyone that's going to be coming up for this presentation. So let's do the swearing first.
If you'll please stand, raise your right hand, repeat after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm
I do swear affirm
that the information I am about to present
that the information that I am about to present
will be the truth and nothing but the truth.
will be the truth and nothing but the truth.
Thank you. Resolution 2021-17, a resolution of the City Council for the City of Westlake, Florida, approving the site plan modification for exterior architectural facade for Grove Market Shopping Center located 5060 Seminole Pratt Whitney Road in the City of Westlake, Palm Beach County, Florida, providing for implementation and providing an effective date.
Thank you. And Nelson?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Brennan. Council members, we have a presentation, sorry, please. The subject application that is in front of council, it was the Grove Market Shopping Center site plan modification. As we all know, the Grove Market Shopping Center is fronting Seminole Pratt Whitney Road. And there is an application in front of you. It's the Grove Market is approximately 9.98 acres and has the shopping plaza approximately 89,000 square feet. It's in our mixed-use zoning district. These are photos of the existing conditions of the plaza. The plaza was built in 1999 and is since September 2016 is owned by 5060 Loxahatchee Retail LLC. These are photos of the existing plaza, and the applicant is in turn it would like to enhance the architectural facade of the entire commercial plaza to be consistent with the city design and aesthetic vision. This is the rear of the property. Part of the landscaping close to the shops. And this is what is proposing. New paint color for all architectural elevations. Then also the painting the existing metal awnings, remove and some of the awnings on the facade. And just to emphasize that the application is not including signage, it's coming in front of council on a separate application. This is the color palette and materials that the applicant is proposing, and obviously is in coordination with Winn-Dixie Plaza. Staff has worked with both applicants, with the plaza and the Winn-Dixie. And is as the existing photos shows, it's paramount to upgrade, to renew this plaza, to actually be in harmony with the vision that this city is very much, is our purpose. So this has been reviewed also by fire safety, and Planning and Zoning Engineering Department recommends approval. And also, I would like to emphasize something. My understanding is that the applicant, the owners of the Grove Plaza, are preparing a package, a submittal package for signage for the entire plaza, and also including parking area and the landscaping. As you noticed, these two applications that are in front of you tonight does not include basically parking and landscaping on the parking area. And it's paramount to update the parking area because I don't know, because I have not seen yet the application, but it needs to be up to standard to the ADA. Most of these plazas has been, for years, and I am not sure if it is actually current with ADA provisions of it's a federal law. So in any case, the applicant is here, and I'm sure they can speak further to the plans that are coming in the near future in front of council, please.
Thank you, Nilsa. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. Rob Spiak with Crossman and Company, represent 5060 Loxahatchee Retail LLC. The raw application before you folks tonight, as Nilsa mentioned, is a complementary elevation to match and meet the standards of what Winn-Dixie's trying to do in the shopping center here. So that's the main part of the application tonight, is to get those get the aesthetics out there and get those before you folks for review, comment, and hopefully approval this evening. As Nilsa mentioned also, we are preparing for the future, including a master sign plan, an update of the master site plan itself. With the application that Winn-Dixie has before you tonight, and landlord is making other improvements to the property, including putting a new roof on the entire facility. We're going to look at upgrading LED lighting for the facility. We're going to redo the parking areas. Right now we're proposing the mill and pave, but we're digging in a little bit deeper on that. And to Nilsa's point also, we are addressing the ADA issues out there. We've got an ADA report prepared for the facility, and those changes will be forthcoming. We're hoping the complete application will be submitted to you this June for your August meeting. Beyond that, again, the focus of tonight's resolution is for the aesthetics here. I think we put together, a package that complements the Winn-Dixie, gets modernizing to the center with the upgrades in the paints, and some of the wainscoting work that was previously described by John. And we hope we can get your approval this evening and be happy to answer any additional questions you have.
I guess my first question is going to be the coordination of timing here. Without having the site plan finished and have the parking lot and the landscaping before us, how is this all going to come together in a time frame that's going to work for both Winn-Dixie and yourselves?
We think the package that's being put together by our consultant for submission this month, is comprehensive and will address all of those issues. Winn-Dixie's construction target is a November open for this year. So it's tight, but we think we've got enough time, and we're willing to move as quickly as the city, wants to work with us and get this thing done in time.
I don't think that Mr. Castle will have any problem putting his team together to get you accommodated for that. But my concern is being able to get the plans together, get them submitted, and get the work to coordinate all together to meet a deadline of November. Sounds pretty aggressive at this point. I would have liked to have seen your site plans and stuff in previous to this, and see that you're going to be prepared for Winn-Dixie to do what they need to do in order to make this all come together in a timely manner. It kind of seems to me a little bit that we're getting the cart ahead of the horse a little bit here. So we really need to see in order for this to come together, we're going to have to see things on your side with the site plan come together.
Yep.
Pretty quickly here.
Yeah, like I said, the June 25th submission, you will have those plans. And
We don't have a meeting in June.
No, I mean the submission deadline, we'll be making.
The submission, the submission's deadline for staff is June 25th, so we can get it on the August meeting.
On the August.
It'll be on the August
And,
meeting.
so August, September, October, November, 3 months. That's very aggressive. I'd like you to address that, these comments, please.
Thank you all. My name is Michael Neville. I work for, I'm the asset manager for 5060 Loxahatchee Retail LLC. We've been working very closely with Gina and Nilsa and with Ken. It's a pleasure to be in front of you today. We've been coordinating all of our resources, and we've got extensive resources to make sure that we are ready to hit the ground running once we get our permits, subsequent to the August City Council meeting. What we are planning to do is not extensive enough that it would cause any major delays. I think the largest time lead item would be the fabrication of our pylon signs, and we have confirmed with our vendors that those should be that there should be no issue at all by building and erecting those signs and getting the panels on them prior to when Dixie's open.
I'm a little familiar with construction, and my concern is that right now, especially with the way the construction's going on there, you got paving to do, you got plans to get in and paving to do, and if you're milling and then you gotta get your plan together for landscaping, it's a really aggressive plan you have without having a final on the approval from the city. Not to say that it can't happen. I mean, I've seen crazier, I shouldn't say that, that's not the word. I've seen projects progress pretty rapidly when everything falls into place. My obvious concern is that something doesn't fall into place, because that's when things don't happen. What happens if I have to ask Mr. Castle on this, what happens if there's not, we don't have an approval in June, in August? I mean, how is that going to affect Winn-Dixie and what they have to do? Or is that something that Nelson should be answering?
It would basically leave the external of the parking lot in the condition that it's in currently, which the couple things that don't match would be the ADA requirements and a couple things like that. There isn't a trigger that I recall in our code that requires them to upgrade landscaping, et cetera, totally. There is some things that we are pushing for them to do. So what would happen is the parking lot would remain in its current state, which I do not believe Winn-Dixie nor the property owner wants, because that would, shall we say, be anticlimactic to the other presentation. So I would say that both Winn-Dixie and the property owner will be pushing like anything to make sure that Winn-Dixie has their opening at the time they want it, and that the entire shopping center is up to par.
Yeah. I don't want to discourage anything here, honestly. I just want to point out the facts that as I see them. And it's definitely not to discourage anybody from going forward here. I just want to know what the plan is if we don't have things in place, so that when Winn-Dixie wants to open that door, that it aesthetically looks the way it should.
Certainly. Well, we have no plan to do any major reconfiguration of the parking lot. We're just going to improve what is existing. We are going to address some very minor ADA deficiencies that were identified in our ADA report, mostly associated with slopes. So that will be addressed when we do our paving. I appreciate Councilmember Paul's suggestion that we incorporate some electric charging stations, and we'll certainly look to do that in time for the opening. If for some reason that we can't make that deadline, we would look to add those subsequent to the opening. Certainly it's a valuable asset to the community as well as to the center to have that resource available. But I don't foresee any component in what we're gonna be presenting to you in August that should cause any delays. We're not making any major changes. We are just upgrading what's existing.
Okay, well, I'm gonna leave it up for questions from the rest of the council at this point.
I mean, I'll go easy on you. Besides not wanting to see delays, and the absolute last thing I want to see is the anchor store have to be delayed. That all being said, I gotta tell you, I love the plan. And I think harmony was the exact proper word to use. It's definitely harmonizes with the entire vision of what Westlake is and what we've been able to accomplish thus far. Just for fun, and even the name of the corporation you represent, we're not Loxahatchee anymore. Any plans on changing the name of the plaza?
Yeah, I mean, the plaza is Grove Market Shopping Center.
Is that set in stone? Any thought about changing the actual name of Grove Shopping Center?
What would you like it to be?
I'm just curious.
John Hollow County Center?
It's a whole new facelift of a plaza, a whole new look in a new city.
Maybe a name change.
Maybe we need to modernize,
Certainly.
step into the.
We're receptive to that. Again,
Just something to think
timing is
about.
critical. We didn't want to put anything in front of anyone that might cause a delay,
Right.
right?
Just something to think about.
People often have opinions on things.
New
So,
look.
we're very receptive, and I'm happy to take anyone's recommendation as to what they'd like it to be. And we'll bring some suggestions next time we're in front of you.
Cool, thank you.
I do have one more question. Obviously, the front is being changed a lot. In the back, for existing vendors, it would have been a great benefit for Pomodoro or, those restaurant type vendors to have outdoor space, especially, during this pandemic deal.
Certainly.
Is there any change, any plans of changing that where they could utilize outdoor space?
Certainly. During the pandemic, we did suggest that El Pomodoro utilize some of the outdoor areas. And even offered to try and work with the city to close off some of the parking area. Certainly, we've got plenty right now without an anchor. They did not want to do that. Our other restaurant that has customers that are being served is the Gator Shack, and they have a small outdoor area. We're currently working with them on a couple options that we will bring back in front of you at a later date regarding possibly using some of the grass area to their north, as well as we have a very large grass area to the rear of the fire station that I would like to utilize for restaurant seating of the old fire station. But these are all things that are still in flux. We didn't want to bring anything that wasn't final. Like I said, like we all know, the city's anxious to have Winn-Dixie open. And our main goal here today was to get this approved so that they can get their permit and hit the ground running on construction. And we're happy to address any other issues at a later date.
Any other questions?
I mean, I just would have liked to have seen a couple of images. I do understand, you want to get you want to get it done right, but I just would have liked to have seen a couple of what the parking lot and the signage and things would have looked like. But
What's your projected delivery date? You said a couple weeks.
For the
June?
next submission,
Yeah.
June 25th is the next submission deadline?
That's right.
Yeah. So
What we'll do, council, is typically we go through it first, but what we'll do is as soon as we get it in, we'll share it with the council. So that they have a preliminary understanding of what we're reviewing.
Great.
And that way you all have a comfort level that it's coming in. We will, again, do a thorough staff review and catch most of the things that are there and make sure we're in compliance.
Great.
And
Share that as soon as it comes in.
we're following very closely what the council's already approved for Publix. We're using a vendor that has a strong relationship, I believe, with Nelson and her team, and I believe they're working very closely with them to make sure that what we set forth with should be in compliance with what you've already approved in the past.
The parking between one row and the other, is that gonna get any wider or is it gonna stay the same?
No, we weren't planning to do any reconfiguration, and it does comply with the code.
It's an odd shaped parking lot that's difficult to deal with.
My worry is with more traffic, with Dixie and whatnot, that, you know, there's different type of progress coming in.
Sure.
All kinds of different, and the chances of, you know, collisions is that much greater, so it might not be a bad idea to really look into that again, and because the way it is configured is kind of, it can be challenging for some people.
Well, we'll look into that.
There are no further questions from the council. This is a public hearing. Do we have any questions from the public?
Mayor, I received no previous comment cards. We'll give the virtual audience a moment to raise their virtual hand. Please unmute your device or press *6 and state your name and address. Alicia Torres.
Hi, yes, Alicia Torres, 5847 Whippoorwill Circle. I had two questions. One is, there was an outer parcel at the corner of Persimmon and Seminole Pratt Whitney that had been for lease. And I believe at one point a Taco Bell was looking into it. Is that parcel going to still be for lease, or are you guys going to dedicate it in the new plan to, you know, berms and barriers and landscaping? My second question is, I'm curious, the old fire station, if that is part of Grove Market, and if so, what's going to happen with it? If not, I don't know if anybody else can answer. Thank you.
Sure. So your first question regarding the out parcel on the corner of Persimmon and Seminole Pratt, that is not controlled by us at all. That is a separate third party. I don't know what their intentions are. I do know that I saw leasing signs still up there today. Regarding the second question about the former fire station, that is part of our shopping center. We are actively looking at options for new tenants for that space, and potentially utilizing the green space in the rear of it. I think would be ideal to have some outdoor seating for a restaurant. So we're focusing on bringing a restaurant user to that space.
Very cool. Thank you.
Any other further public comment?
Mayor, I see no additional public comments.
Thank you. In that case, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve resolution 2021-17.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion to approve Resolution 2021-17 by Vice Mayor O'Connor, seconded by Councilwoman Crump. Roll call. Councilwoman Crump.
Yes.
Councilman Paul.
Yes.
Vice Mayor O'Connor.
Yes.
Mayor Manning.
Yes, and I want to see those drawings.
Right away, please.
Councilwoman Long Robinson.
Yes, and I second, I want to see those images too. Say yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Very excited very much.
We're excited to have it.
Revamp the center for you.
That cleaned up there, and excited to see when Dixie moved in there and see that facade change, and what nice landscaping you're going to put in. It's for the city. Thank you. Okay, that concludes our public hearing agenda. Second reading. Take it easy now. We'll move on to new business. Item A, an agreement for enforcement of traffic control jurisdiction laws in the state between the city of Westlake and the members of Westlake Homeowners Association.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and Council. In order for PBSO to enforce traffic laws inside the community, PBSO needs to enter a traffic agreement with the city which gives them authority within the various pods. So we have an agreement with each of the individual HOAs for that enforcement action. So the next two items on your agenda are both the same. One is for the Meadows, the other one is for Sky Cove. We're working currently with Crestwind to start theirs, so you should be seeing Crestwind soon. You also should be seeing Groves coming up fairly soon as people are starting to close there. So that one will be coming in as soon as possible as well. We're just trying to button it up to make sure that PDSO has the ability to go in and enforce traffic laws, et cetera, within the pods.
I saw the speed indicator sign out there. Is that working?
Appears to be, plus also I have PBSO on the evenings, especially the weekend evenings, monitoring speed out there. Because in the last 4 years, I think we've had 3 people come around the corner and crash into the roundabout. The last one was the most severe. Took out a large tree as well as some other stuff. So we are going to continue to enforce that traffic issues along Town Center Parkway North, because people do get a little bit of a lead foot.
Is that taking the speed of golf carts also? Yeah.
Sure.
Watch out the speed.
So it's a motion to approve the agreement between the traffic enforcement for Meadows and City of Westlake.
Okay, so we have a motion, item A, agreement for the enforcement of traffic control jurisdiction laws of the state between the City of Westlake and the Meadows Westlake Homeowners Association.
I'll make a motion to approve item A.
Second.
I have a motion by Vice Mayor O'Connor, seconded by Councilwoman Long Robinson. Roll call, Councilman Paul,
Yes.
Vice Mayor O'Connor,
Yes.
Mayor Manning,
Yes.
Councilwoman Long Robinson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Crump.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. We're going to do the same thing with item B, an agreement for enforcement of traffic control jurisdiction laws for the state between the City of Westlake and the Sky Cove Homeowners Association, Inc.
Make a motion. Enter an agreement with Westlake and Sky Cove.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilwoman Crump to enter into agreement with Sky Cove in the City of Westlake, seconded by Vice Mayor O'Connor. Roll call, Vice Mayor O'Connor,
Yes.
Mayor Manning,
Yes.
Councilwoman Long Robinson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Crump,
Yes.
Councilman Paul.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
If I may, real quick, Ken, I'm curious why we haven't seen an agreement for hammocks yet.
That one has to come from the HOA itself. I thought we already
We got one with every other neighborhood except the first one.
Mentos, that HOA has been turned over.
Right.
And they have been notified, but I haven't seen it come from the HOA yet.
Interesting. Okay, thank you.
So if you've
Who's
got
the president?
John Hutchins.
Okay, you got any connections with the president? Yeah, have him get on the stick and get it before us. We'll get it approved.
I'll investigate that one.
Okay, we'll move on to item C, the fiscal year 2020 audited financial report, which is on the dais, everyone has them. Mr. Castle, you want to?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. If you like numbers, you read through the first part of it. If you want the bottom line, you look at page 473 in your thing, or I believe it's probably close to the last or next to the last letter. It's called the management letter. It talks about prior findings and current findings. There were no findings in the audit, so we are clean in the audit. So motion to approve.
That's my favorite page right there.
It's the meat of the product.
Yeah.
So a motion to accept the audit would be in order.
Any questions on this item? To no questions, could we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Long Robinson, seconded by Vice Mayor O'Connor. Roll call. Mayor Manning?
Yes.
Councilwoman Long Robinson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Crump?
Yes.
Councilman Paul?
Yes.
Vice Mayor O'Connor?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. We're up to city council comments. Councilwoman Robinson,
Just to, if we could, staff, can maybe talk about the ordinance for art in public places. I see the city is moving really fast. So, I think that would just be important, which it highlights diversity and inclusion and things, of that nature. You know, we see other municipalities painting on the street, their buildings, so if we could get something in place, I think that would be appropriate. And just a follow-up to, Ms. Pam Kahans, I'm hoping that's how you pronounce her name, her presentation. I think, Councilwoman Crump and Mayor Manning, you know, we approved, that project. And if we could get, pull the record for that FDE approval, so we can understand what vision was communicated to us. Tonight, what was said is not what was communicated, to us. So if we could just get exactly, what that was communicated, as well as the number of acres that was sold to them. Because like I said, what was said tonight is not what we approved. So and maybe it was, but I just like, if we could get, and I mean, they're doing a phenomenal job. I always hear phenomenal things about that, but at this point, that's not what it's about. It's about what was initially approved and what was communicated tonight. And so we could just kind of go back and look at that. I would appreciate it.
I agree with you.
We'll dig into the records and look at what the vision was originally.
Right. I thought it was
portrayed.
beds.
Yeah, it was
Yes,
a hospital facility.
Yeah.
So that's not what was communicated this evening. So we can kind of just look back over that.
Yeah, I think we should. I totally agree with you. Thank you for bringing that up. Councilman Crump?
I don't have any comments.
Councilman Paul? Vice Mayor?
Cross a bunch of stuff off my list for you guys because it's late. I'm not sure if you saw that email, but Florida League of Cities unveiled a new free service to municipalities for finding grant money. It came around 2:30 today. We could take every advantage of that and go get that cash. That would be great. It's a free service to cities and it accesses the largest grant database that is. Maybe, Ken, that's something for your guy to get into. So I was gonna lobby for a 4th of July firework display as kind of like a light at the end of the tunnel of COVID and celebrate America's freedom. It got 86 pretty quickly because we happen to be in a flight path and there's all kinds of FAA rules and regulations. Not saying it can never be done, it just takes a lot of planning ahead of time to get the planes to not fly when we're shooting off our fireworks. But if my colleagues on the council agree, I'd like to instruct staff to budget for it and plan for it next year. So I think the city deserves it and the residents deserve it, and it'll help keep people from maybe doing their own fireworks, which is safer.
I really think that one.
Absolutely.
Not that. I think everybody likes having their own fireworks.
Well, a city fireworks, so nothing crazy.
Yeah, as long, the only thing I say is budget wise, we
Right.
have to be conservative because we're taking money from the developer at this point anyhow, and I'm concerned about funding.
No, I agree entirely.
We're gonna have to be a little
My
conscious of that.
initial thought was, you know, the money that's in our budget for us to go to events and things like that we didn't do any of that this
Right.
year because of COVID, could go to that. But again, you know, just a little something for the residents of the city and to celebrate America's freedom.
Between now and when we bring the initial budget to you in the July meeting, I will make sure that we do have a line item in there for fireworks, et cetera. I'll probably put a
Special events budget.
Yeah, we remember we killed, we pretty much stripped it out the other year, so we'll run it back in since now we have time for special events. And we'll work at other ways to not only fund it from that, but fund it from potential additional sources, potential contributions and other things, maybe partnerships with somebody, et cetera.
Absolutely.
So there may be a number of ways to fund it where it's not totally a burden on the taxpayers per se, but a combination.
Innovative government.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Marshall's got something to say.
Yes.
If you make that happen, I'll make sure we get a fire truck and a brush truck on standby for it.
Actually, we were thinking right across the street from you, so it's close.
And my only other question was in regards to the work that's being done on the culvert crossing. I got the update where it's about to have a traffic shift. What are the times if we do that construction? And is there any reason why we can't do it like in the evening?
It's a type of work that can't be done at
It's
night.
gotta be done
Yeah,
during
because you have to see.
driving daytime hours.
Well, you have to see it. It's gotta be closed anyway, because if you stop, they're digging down about 10 to 12 feet to put the box culverts in to get them under the road depth and is the right elevation and stuff. So, and they have to swing them with cranes to swing the portions in place and pull them tight. Now, the next lane shift will be moving the lane to the right-hand southbound lane and the right-hand turn lane, which should ease up some of the congestion, because even a contractor's commented that he's very surprised at how many traffic has to, comes down, wants to turn right and go west. Not sure what everything is going west in the morning is out there, but everybody wants to turn right and go west. So that right-hand turn lane should alleviate some of that bottleneck. And then they'll be doing the inside lane, the median, and I believe one of the northbound lanes will be squeezed down as well to get through the middle, and then the last will be on the east side. So it'll be 3 traffic shifts total.
I mean, just an update on the project. Has it been pretty efficient? Is it moving smoothly?
They've been moving fast.
Okay.
So the original was 120 to 160 days, and they're right on target. They've only been working for like 3.5 weeks.
Awesome. Aside from that, just thank you for everybody for coming and thank my colleagues for their leadership. I'm happy July 4th because I won't see it.
It's my turn. We still don't have a plan for City Hall. We don't have land. We don't have a plan whatsoever of where to move to. I have reached out to Mr. Carter again, and I haven't gotten a response to have a meeting with him. So I'm going to try again, and I would like to have a plan together. This is something that as you can probably tell my tension right now, I'm a little upset that we have spent going on 5 years this month, and we still do not have any plan at all for City Hall that's concrete. We have ideas, but we have nothing. This is something that I've said before how passionate I am about it. We don't have a home. We are sitting in a trailer, so to speak, a very nice one. And we have had accommodations from the developer at a rent that's unheard of. But nonetheless, we don't have a plan. And it's time. It's time to have some sort of plan. I'll reach out to Mr. Carter tomorrow again and see if he'd like to meet with me. And I will get back to you, Mr. Castle, with the results of my endeavor to do something.
Okay.
And then maybe we can speak about what we're gonna do in the future. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
The floor is yours now, sir.
All right, couple things on that. I do have some alternatives that I've been working on as well, that we've talked about. They were thwarted in some areas, but I will revisit those for temporary in between. But as we've stated multiple times, until we can actually secure a piece of property, we're short-staffed. And that's the negotiation that really has to be done. And that has to be done carefully for all of us. Once that is accomplished, then the real planning can be. I've already presented potential site plans for the one parcel that was in the offering of the funding agreement, or not funding agreement, but developer agreement. We've already have potential site plans, potential buildings, potential structures, et cetera, as a plan. But barring any actual land, none of that can come to fruition. I do have an alternative of lease space potentially. And I'm working on 2 or 3 different places of lease space, although right now you only have Grove Marketplace, but there's other stuff coming out of the ground very shortly that potentially a lease space or a lease purchase. So I've been in discussions with various individuals to secure a home, whether it's through Mr. Carter or through a sub person who has a piece of the 17 acres or something like that. I don't know. But I'm working all aspects that I can to try to find us a location. Because trust me,
this is your home, man.
I know, trust me, I'm waiting for the day that, and I not jokingly say it, but jokingly say it with Mr. Carter, that he comes knocking on the door and goes, guess what I did, and guess you gotta find a new place. And the way things are moving, that's why I have been in constant conversations with him, and he has begun to start getting me in contact with some of the others that he's moving different pieces of the puzzle with to figure out how to secure a location. But hasn't come home yet.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying that, you know what, we've been running around this area for years now. So yeah, I think that we need to try to put it to bed one way or the other at this point. Okay. And I appreciate your work on it, I really do. That leaves that.
Get the reports from the fire department.
Yes, that leaves that said. So finally, we move on with the staff reports. Palm Beach Fire Rescue. Mr. District Chief Posey. Apparently you don't have much to do tonight. I'm glad to see you here though. Appreciate you being here.
When I met y'all a couple months ago, I told you I want to be part of the team, so can't be part of the team if you're not at the team events, right?
Right.
So, we had a big fire north of here, luckily we got that under control in another area due north there, 585 acres. In this immediate area here, it's mostly just been bad accidents, as you kind of alluded to. So everybody just slow down and quit texting while they drive. We'll all be in a better place. But that's all really I have. Hope you have a safe and healthy month, and we'll see you back here in August. Yeah. July.
Okay. We'll be here in July.
We'll see you then. Thank you.
Thank you. We have the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office monthly report. In the packet, I believe it was. Yes. I want to thank the city attorney for the weekly reports. I appreciate getting that from your office.
Our pleasure.
Just to show us, give us an idea of what's going on your side. Thank you.
And if you have any questions, please, I'm available to answer anything, either email or phone call. Any one of the council, we're available. Please don't hesitate to call.
Thank you. And if you have anything else you'd like to convey to us, please, this is your time.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here. Pleasure to meet everyone. And it's fun to be part of your growing process.
This
Thank
is,
you for the opportunity.
thank you, thanks for being here. Mr. Castle?
Nothing to add other than we'll be bringing the preliminary budget in the July meeting and be setting the millage rate. From that, we need to set the millage rate first, and then we can continue to fine tune the actual budget, but the millage rate is the key issue we have to set first. So we'll be working on the budget. At the same time, I'll be presenting some of the follow-up from the planning process that InfoMark's working on as far as where we appear to be financially in 2022, 2023. Again, with the increase in the assessed value of this year, going forward, it's looking a lot better than what it was a year ago.
Yeah.
So, and as the commercial starts to come on, it's going to look even better. So I think we're going to be in really good shape by the time the funding agreement runs out. But we'll see.
Good. Thank you.
And they are building houses very fast. We're still closing between 30 and 45 a month.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Really.
Building department's doing over 200 to 250 inspections a day.
Well, I was, in the financial statement, I was looking at the building permits.
Yeah.
And that tells the story right there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of money coming in that way, and it's filling a big dent in the budget that we hadn't anticipated. I hadn't anticipated it being that kind of number. It was it's remarkable.
Pretty staggering.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Before the public comments, I just want to say that tonight's meeting was the most exciting, the best feeling I've had sitting on this dais for a long, long time. It felt so nice to see the excitement and feel the excitement of what's going on in the city. It's very promising to be able to see developers wanting to come in and spend their develop here, and I appreciate all the work that the staff is doing and getting this all together. And Tara, I appreciate what Minto's doing to work on getting these developers and these people come in and develop the area. The residents, this is the kind of things that the residents have been looking for from the start, and the ball has started to roll now. And it's very exciting to see this happening.
We've broached that on most of the businesses. We've hit that magic place on their matrix where it's either rooftops or daytime jobs, et cetera, et cetera. And now they're starting to come in, they're starting to go hot and heavy. And I'm thrilled. One of the things that the building department, just as an inside baseball scenario, we in the building department worked with the Winn-Dixie to give them a demolition permit. They could go ahead and demo the interior of the building, the floor, et cetera, so they could meet their November schedule, not having to wait for the entire outside. Yeah. We worked and looked at all the potential processes and allowed them to do what they needed to do, worked with them to keep them moving forward, which I believe ultimately we're going to get a much better product out of it.
Right. Well, I did my ride around this evening before this meeting, and I came back and I said to Ken, there's something going on. They got a permit to tear this up over here because my father's background that stuck with me is still sticking with me, and it's exciting to see jobs. I mean, if Winn-Dixie their plans to be up and running in November, which is still very aggressive, but with 80 to 130 jobs, and then you take Publix across the street with, has to be at least the same amount or more jobs. And then the tax collector's office, there's going to be, that's where the turn is coming here in the commercial development, because now they can see that there's going to be bodies around here during the day. So, very exciting stuff. Last but not least, public comments on agenda items only.
Mayor, Mayor, we received a comment from Lewis Park inquiring what the cost of the video for S.A. Nelson was.
I don't have that off the top of my head, but I have to go back and see what was approved as our budget in our first agreement with them. I don't have that with me on the top of my head. I'll have to research that and get it back.
We'll give the virtual audience a moment to raise their virtual hand. If you wish to make a comment, please state your name and address. Ms. Torres, you have a comment.
Yes, hi, Alicia Torres, 5847 Whippoorwill. I just agree with Mayor Manning that this meeting tonight was the most fun I've had in about a year and a half. It should have been held on a Saturday night, but I do have a few real questions. One is, I was a bit shocked tonight by the Wellington Regional Medical Center's CEO saying that, you know, Westlake's land, you know, in this contract was dedicated to medical office space. So my question is, you know, what is medical office space? Does that mean chiropractic medical office space where services can be provided, or acupuncture or esthetician services, or is this strictly administrational office space? My second question has to do with the current City Hall situation, again, that Mayor Manning addressed. I just wonder, is there any use in scraping off the peeling paint of the garage or the buildings and painting them to make them look nicer? Or what? I guess I'm just curious what's going to happen to these buildings once all is said and done and we actually do have a real city hall for our services. Thank you.
I'll answer the thing on the buildings. The buildings are occupied by Sid. They're leased from Minto. I will speak to the landowner about kind of fixing up the building on the exterior again, do a little code enforcement on the landowner. What will eventually happen to those buildings is they will be demolished at some point in time. I know Seminole Improvement District is working on new facilities next to the substation, where they will be relocating their entire operation for all their materials, sheds, et cetera, over in that location, which will be adjacent to that, which will also be where the county's refueling site will be as part of that area over by south of the substation.
Great, thank you. And then if anybody can address the Wellington Regional Medical Center, the medical office space.
I don't think any of us have any idea what that really means as a definition. We are going to go back and look at the records and see what they played out as the original vision, and go back and push on them to see about fulfilling the vision that they sold the city.
Okay, thank you.
Good explanation. Okay. There's nothing else for the order. We're going to adjourn at 10:02.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Good to see you.